I'm here today with one of my favorite musicians. For the second time, it's been a year since we last spoke, and he's here with his new album, Perspective, the incomparable Rob Tardik. Rob, how are you doing?
I'm doing really well. Thank you, Stefan. I really appreciate that kind intro, and it's great to be back.
So, Perspective came from something that, as you pointed out, 5 years ago, and
Mhm.
it's been in the making. I think you said 2023. You started working with Steve Oliver. You
Yeah,
had
in
some
the
ideas
fall
you
of
were kicking
20. Yeah.
around. You kind of got together with him, and you kind of made it happen. It's kind of like, I want to put something together with this. I want to do something with this.
Yes, this is a real, I call it, it's like a passion project. It's just a very personal CD to me and my wife. It's kind of like half love letter to my wife, to be honest with you, and kind of myself in my own healing. It's kind
Right.
of a cathartic album for me. It's just my thoughts and my healing process over these are going to be 5 years now, almost since the date of the attack that happened, the tragic event that night. But we've gone past it, and this music is, like I said, my it's been a healing process. Although I did release some new music, it was kind of like, as we know, I don't want to bring the big C COVID word up, but we were all in that, and I was releasing, the diversity. And the last time we spoke, I did
Yeah.
4 volumes, like a best of, and a whole new album of 11 songs. I think I released on
Yeah.
each of the 4 volumes, like about 3 songs on each album. And there was some songs written for Kim, the Be Positive, obviously that song, and Kim Bachata, and then one to my first wife, who passed away during COVID as well from cancer. So the women in my life have gone through a tough go, and affected, obviously, as a man, one of my two main relationships in my life, with the first, Julie, who was my first wife, who passed from cancer in 2021. I have two beautiful sons together, and then I got remarried with Kim. Like I said, we have our great life together right now, and she has a son from her first marriage. So anyway, it's been that journey for me as a man, I think, more than anything, and the songs reflect that on Perspective. And the album Perspective, I chose the title because I've been using that word for the last, since the occurrence, and everything that's happened in my life, how my life has changed and how my perspective has really shifted, as a human being. The way I view the world, I view what's going on around me. I'm much more connected. I find like I said, one song is called, Woke Up, and it's not to do anything with kind of woke, kind of like that kind of thing that's been in the media. It's just me. I've woken up as a man to what my responsibility is, and more what I need to get involved with in my life, and look past my own little inner, my bubble, and how I can help others. And that's what's really been the beautiful part of it. Something that happened that was so dark and terrible, and my wife feels the same way, has brought so much joy, and so many good things have come out of a horrible event. And this album Perspective is kind of that juxtaposition of me going from one frame of mind and being a Rob Tardik. And not that I was I was always performing like positive music, all the balance, energy, laughter, love, my life mantra, on the right time. And I started off without words, and then Limitless, and then Moments, enjoying moments of life, and Synergy. And all these albums had a positive message. So I think those actually helped me in my time, or my wife and I, our time of a life altering crisis that I went to. I think I know those positive songs that I had written, not obviously knowing, obviously, who could, even fathom something like that happen, but it helped my wife in her times, being in a coma, and being able to play all these positive songs that helped her. So again, throughout this whole healing process we've been going through, and journeying, her getting back to work just literally like a year and a half ago, finally, after being home for so long and healing, and myself being kind of a caregiver, that role. I mean, still
Yeah.
creating music, because again, that was my healthy distraction, my expressive therapy, I guess you'd call it, for me, was music. And Perspective. It was time, like you mentioned, in 2023, when it was the fall of 2023, and I was heading back to Vancouver for a show, and then to Catalina Island, and Spaghettini is one of my all-time favorite jazz venues to play, with Carrie Hardwick, who owns that wonderful place. And so that we got together with Steve, and we started the remnants of the first tune. And that song has actually got a beautiful story to it. So if we get to it, it's called I'm Okay on the new album. And we started the first, chord progressions and melodies to that song. And then the fall passed, holiday season, as you know, got busy. But then by the new year, I was ready to go. I was formulating and writing a lot of new ideas and guitar parts and melodies. And then, the phone call came with Steve and said, let's do it. Let's get back out to Palm Springs and Vancouver. The whole Perspective project was a kind of a merger of those two locations, because Steve's partner that he lives with half the time, she's in Vancouver, has a beautiful home in Surrey, and he's out in Desert Hot Springs. So I was flying back and 4 or 5 times, I believe, back and forth to wherever Steve was at that time. A few weeks before, I would say, Steve, I'm booking my plane ticket. Where are you going to be in, July? Where are you going to be in April? Where are we going to be in September and November? All these times I was coming back last year in 2024. He says, okay, I'm in Vancouver, and I'm in. So look, it all worked out. And here we are, speaking today. And that's been kind of the Perspective journey. And obviously, like I said, it's very cathartic for me for this album, more so than any others, because this is a very personal, not the other albums weren't personal, but this is a very personal story, and between me and Kim and our journey of healing. And so it's not a concept album, but it's meant to be kind of listened as an album. And, that's something actually I had to talk about with people in my camp is, should we just release singles? Which is very common today, as you know, right? It's a singles world. Everybody releases singles and singles. Yeah. And the album has kind of, been pushed to the wayside in many genres. Not in every, like if you look at classical and jazz, like straight ahead jazz, they still release albums, because a lot of times a classical music composition is multiple segments, so they can't release a single from the Tchaikovsky suite or something. It's not going to happen. So
just the seventh. We just want to listen to the seventh. We don't want we don't want a third. We don't want we don't want the Requiem. Just the seventh today.
Exactly. So that makes sense, right? So, but if you're Dua Lipa or you're Miley Cyrus, you just pour out singles after single, or Billie Eilish, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's their world. And then for me, I'm a little more old school, and I love albums. I like listening to albums, whether that's a detriment to my my Spotify career these days. I've been told that's not the way to do it by several people in the industry. And they said, well, it's all singles, and even contemporary, smooth jazz, whatever you want to call the genre I'm in. It's just feel good, positive, uplifting music that I write, instrumental based, with some vocals. I said, no, I told them, I'm going to release the album. This is a very meaningful project for me, and it's meant to be listened as a whole. I don't want to just segment it out in little bits and pieces and crumbs.
Well, that's what I found with a couple of your albums. This one particularly, it's as though you are a storyteller. Okay, you can write short stories, which is your singles, or you can write not a novel, but something that's a little more meat to it than a short story. And if you follow through all of the songs, I find the album is like listening to a story. So this album is like a storytell. It's not a one-off. You could pull pieces out, but if you pull them out, they have to be taken out of context, which is, it's a sad thing to say, but you'd have to take it out of context and say, this is just a nice piece of music. And people would hear it, say, that's Rob. Absolutely. And it's a really great piece, but it's missing something. And I'm almost certain people would say it's missing something. And what it's missing is the rest of the album. Because you're not following. It has a flow. It's got where's the next piece? Where's that next step?
Yeah, thank you for saying that. Yeah, that's the way, and even the alignment of the songs, the way the songs go in the order, which I have the album right here sitting on beside my coffee. Boom. And oops, there's the light.
There it is.
There's my light. Yeah, because I got a light on my face here. But so there's Perspective, and I think there you can see the back.
And there's the Kim Possible.
There's the Kim Possible guitar. The Be Positive guitar. And these are all shots right around my home, like the whole album. I do have an open copy. I shouldn't maybe brought that one, but I can open this one. But the live opening. I should have grabbed the one over there. That was open. Anyway, we'll get rid of this garbage. But yeah, all the shots are from our home here in South Whitby by the lake. We live like literally just through this window. I can throw a rock, probably if on a good day, if I'm feeling strong, and get it into the lake. Other days, not so much. But there's literally Kim looking out at the lake.
Right.
I took that picture a while back, and that I always kept that picture. I go, this is a special picture. This gotta have. So that's where all the credits went. And there's she's looking out, and really looking at her life, what's happened, right? What's her perspective?
That's her perspective.
How her life has changed. So every shot is a perspective, and this is a shot. Now the shot's been blurred, which you can't see great on the camera, but what happened here? That's the lake, and that was on a I'm trying to think. One picture on the album is me riding a bike, and I took the picture, which came up
That's this
perfectly.
one. I know you described it. This is you, and then you put yourself in. That's why it's
Yeah, and
blurred on
that's
your
my
shoulder
web guy
there.
put that. He just
Yeah.
wanted a glamour shot. The guy who did my album, he goes, "There's no pictures of you." He goes, "This one's on the side. People can't see your face. People should have one shot of you." And I said, "Okay, we'll get one photo shoot done." And I took all the pictures. So these are all our pictures. Other than this one, this was a professional shot by a friend of Kim's, but we did it for the perspective project. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
everything else was all off this camera that I'm actually talking to. Is my Samsung, whatever, S23, 24. I don't know what it is, but and then the inset, everything is around Whitby, like steps away from our house. And this picture is very special. The one with the candle, which where my
Oh, that's on here. It's on that side over
this
there.
side, yeah, sorry, my yeah, it's aligning with the camera. So that picture, that lists all the thank yous. That's actually Kim holding a candle by the lake. We're sitting down on a little stool, a chair there. They have a bench, and that was the actual time my first wife passed.
Oh,
In 20, so that kept that picture because that perspective was deep for me, and because she had an assisted, I guess an assisted passing, I guess what you'd call it, right?
right.
From cancer. So anyway, that was 2 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon, November 7th. I remember the date. We were sitting there, and that's when my son told me that she had gone. And we lit that candle and sat by the water because that's what she loved. So for me, all these things have been gone on in my life. It really, like I said, the last 5 years have been tumultuous and life-changing, but there's been a lot of beautiful things out of it as well, not just darkness and sadness and stuff like that, minus the CD. And then this picture, this is right outside here where I'm playing. I have an album release show coming up on August 14th here at a place just steps away from me, Station Gallery. It's a beautiful arts venue here in Whitby, and I'm doing my local CD release show here in August. And anyway, so the album is very, meaningful to me too. It's like a tribute to Whitby, where I live, and which is just a suburb, in south, just east side of the city of Toronto.
Right.
And this shot is just where we walk through I just loved it on a beautiful fall day, the perspective of the street, well, the walking path, I guess the bike path, and then all the trees. And I literally just grabbed my guitar. One day I was leaving to go to teach, and I had that guitar with me for some reason, which I don't normally teach with that guitar because I don't want to get it all scratched up, the surface. I like to keep that just for performing. And I noticed that beautiful scene when I was turning my car out. I said, "Oh, there's a beautiful picture. I should just lean the guitar against a tree." So that's what I did. I just quickly put my car on the side and grabbed the guitar and leaned it against the tree. It took a bunch, and I find that one. I said, "Oh, that one's perfect." So I've never been a photographer for an album. This was my first, but I think I wanted to keep the authenticity, because if you write an album about your perspective of life, it's made sense to me that I should be the one taking the pictures, or Kim, right? Because it's our perspective. If I hired another photographer who I've worked with, that's their perspective. They're taking the pictures from their view of how they think I should look, or where I should stand and how I should look. And I said, and this time I go, whether that's I'm not a professional photographer, so maybe these are not the most amazing pictures in the world in terms of like glam shots, but they're real. They're real pictures, like I said, off this camera. And that to me had more merit and meaning to me.
This feels like it's all you. So the sound is you, the imagery is you, and people pulling the album, they can be looking at the pictures while listening to the music, and they go, "Yeah, I see this. I understand this. This makes sense to me. I get the connection here." Right.
Well, I honestly, man, that brings me, really a lot of joy. Thank you for saying that, because it means a lot, because that's what I really wanted. Like I said, it's kind of a half love letter to my wife, and just a half of me. When someone writes a memoir, right? It's a very cathartic moment for them, right? It's intense. It's so personal. And I'm not an author, but to me, like you said, visually, have a good visual sense, I find, for different things, for obviously creating artwork for all my albums. I'm heavily involved in all that. And but this one, yeah, and with the music, obviously, that's the main release. Like, how can I tell my story of my healing and my hurt and what we went through? In a collective 10, 11 songs, and put it out. So here we are. Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that.
Oh, not a problem.
That
I
means a lot.
noticed that you had, now I'm going to mispronounce this because I'm horrible with anything other than speaking English occasionally, but Accelerando in E minor. That piece really isn't a full song, but that's
No,
your intro to Evolve, right? Is that on the
trailer.
album?
Yes, yeah, that's on the album. Yeah. The
And
prelude to
you
Ball.
had said that, you playing that music, it's sort of like something that you sort of picked and you went, oh, I really like that. And you did the intro and you went, yeah, that could actually go into a song, if I'm not mistaken, when you were playing that you said, yeah, let's do something. And funny, the name of the song is Evolve because for you, it's a personal statement, but for the
Yes,
music, it's as though you take the E minor intro and you
correct,
evolve it into a piece.
correct.
So
Yeah,
they
and the
hear it and they go, oh, the evolution of that into a song. But for you, it was more than just the music evolving in from an intro to a song. The evolution was more of it's you, it's
personal
your
evolution.
evolution. You're growing, you're becoming more.
Yes,
What I did like about it is that you had your Latin influence back there, which isn't your influence, but it's that style that you have that you excel at. I was waiting to see when it would intros into the album. When I heard that piece, I went, okay, there he is. There's
oh, there it
that
is.
piece of Rob that you can't get rid of.
No,
You have to have that in
absolutely.
there, and
And
it just adds that flavor. The one thing I've noticed about the music in the album, I know it's related to something, a tragedy that occurred, and your wife's pull out from that and to move forward from that and
yeah,
keep going. But the
keep
music
going.
is so
Yeah,
upbeat. It is so happy. You listen to the music. If you didn't have the backstory, you'd just say, this is a really positive, upbeat, really like it, foot stomping in some occasions, kind of,
yeah,
I like this music. You can dance to some of it. You can go.
yeah, absolutely.
If you heard the backstory and listened to it, you'd feel there were some people kind of go, oh, let's just listen to this from a somber perspective.
Yeah,
And you shouldn't do that.
no,
And I'm glad that that isn't sort of you are simply
the
expressing
narrative.
your
Yeah, no.
perspective on it. I'm trying to think of the song that you've got in there that is your ballad, Day by Day, your ballad song,
Yeah, there's a
which you
couple of
call your
reflective
chill
tunes.
song.
Yeah,
And that one, I felt it's a perfect sort of like it's not denouement, but it's that middle piece where towards the end of the album, you've listened to, you're really happy, and then you get that kind of a pause. You get that place where you can breathe and kind of go,
yes,
ah, okay, I'm gonna relax here for a minute and just let my brain get around the music again. And then you come back into Lift and then
yes.
finally Perspective. Absolutely love the
Yeah.
piano intro in Perspective.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was not me. That was Charles
Yeah,
DeRamundo.
oh, obvious. Oh, I know that
Yeah,
wasn't you because it
yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
an accordion. So
yeah.
I
No.
mean,
Oh, I know my accordion. Oh my God, I got rid of that years ago.
although we still have to bring that in at some point in time just for the heck of it. Um, but it's that
Oh
whole
boy.
putting it together, like I say, like a story. Somebody listens to that, they get an emotional kind of ride.
Oh, actually, yeah. This is it. This is the like I said, the passion project album for me, and the next one will be, yeah, very different. I've already been thinking about that, and getting back to that rock thing, I think I might do before I release another, because obviously this one doesn't even come out until May 16th. But
Right.
it's funny when you're an artist, musician, and they can all, whether you're a painter or a sculptor, this, not that it's an old project, but I've already finished it. Like this is done. Perspective is done. I've recorded it. Okay, it's coming out. I got to play the songs, but our brains shift towards what's next already. It's not like I'm going to shift to what's next in a year or two from now once I start, like we're going to perform and I'm going to travel and tour this. I already got a bunch of dates I'm working on here, which are going to come hopefully through fruition. But I'm already thinking about the next thing. Like what kind of direction should I go in for the next album? And I want to do a rock. I really want to do a rock project and release it. Another one. I did release one during COVID,
Yeah.
2020, the Paradise Alley remixes of all these songs that were never released. But I want to do a new project, and me and my brother, so have we been actually writing independently and a little bit now together to write a new kind of like a hard rock project, for lack of a better word. And
Wow.
yeah, so it's whatever comes with it, but we're just working. So my brother bought another new guitar the other day, and we've been checking that out, and and the songs are sounding good. There's some good songs here. It's just finding. It's a totally different genre and vibe and energy and way to put it together than with this type of music when I work with
Right.
Steve or
And you're looking at it from an album-like perspective, a
yes.
storytelling
Yeah.
perspective. You want to take a ride that takes you from beginning to end, and that's why it's difficult to do that linkages to each of the songs that you're looking at, or you're trying to find the way to make them.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. In terms of context from perspective, you're talking, or for the
No, no, I'm
future
talking about
project?
the new work that you're doing. Is
Yeah, the
that
new
that
work.
you're following the same mindset? Yes.
Yeah, I'm following the same mindset. I think one underlying thing I have to keep in mind, and which I haven't done in a little while, which is I'll be transparent. I did when I was writing with Steve, I did want some songs though. I wanted to get my name back out on like songs that have kind of a mass appeal, like radio opportunities, right? So there is a little bit of being transparent there. Some of the songs I wrote for the Perspective album and even upcoming, and for this one, I said, I do want to make them though digestible to people, like you. So for you, maybe the turns and the sudden changes, that's my answer. Why I didn't go through like kind of like a Rob Bop or a Hang Time or some of the other songs I've written where they can really twist and turn you.
Yes.
I said, I have to build my career. I've been off the radar a little bit for quite a long time. I did release some singles. No, David Be Positive, that did great in 2021. But I look back and I said, I haven't really had a song on radio because I just wasn't in that zone. All the new music, like you said, the classical influence. When I wrote Elevation.
Yes.
Elevation was a solo classical piece, and then I orchestrated it.
Yes.
It's for classical. It's a classical guitar piece. I had no intention of any radio play. I never even thought. I didn't care. I just know this at this time. Elevation was a feeling that you get when you do good for other people's. It's actually, if you look it up, it was through my wife's studies, and we did a video segment on our Take Your Power Back show. Elevation. That was one of the 6 themes we did, and it's that feeling you get when you do good for others. You feel that elevation, that lift, that euphoria, like I just helped somebody, whether it's giving somebody $5 on the street or buying a sandwich, or you just gave blood, or, what I mean? You leave feeling. That's something we've been doing is donating blood since the event. And I just feel good after, it's a simple thing. I'm not trying to get any bragging rights, but that's that song. So, and then when I did, obviously, like songs like Kim Bachata, that was for her because that's her favorite style of Latin dancing is the bachata. And then Resilience was a rock anthem. That was like an anthem. Just if you're going to write a song about resilience, I said to myself, it's got to be powerful. It's got to be big. It's got to be strong. So I said, my electric guitar soaring, very long held notes and melodies, and then a big rock anthem solo with the big climactic run. You know what I mean? All the things I thought about, and I accomplished that. So, but no radio. So that was radio silent in terms of the smooth jazz, Billboard Contemporary Jazz, whatever, that forum where Jason Goro in Vegas. So, because he would reach out sometimes, he goes, anything coming out? I go, Jason, I'm not in that mode right now. Like, diversity is just me really being honest and just playing music that I really like. Something like, and I don't
Elevation should have gone out. I listened. So it's funny that you mentioned Elevation first, because I actually listened to the orchestrated Elevation just to get back into the groove. That was one of the first that I listened to, and I listened to it 3 times in a row because it is so good. The orchestrated version of it, I mean, the acoustic version, it's something that I would say, if you want to be a really good guitarist, listen to this, copy this, try this, do this, get that authentic sound, and you're going to be really good on your guitar. Orchestrated, it's another level. And for you to, I berate you. For you to think that that's not radio worthy, my goodness, I don't know what's wrong with your head.
Oh, really?
That should
Well,
go
maybe
back.
there's other radio that I haven't invested in, so maybe you can, throw me some stations that might play. Hey, I'm happy to.
That's phenomenal. Like I said, I listened to it 3 times. That is music that you can definitely get your head wrapped around. It's something that you're feeling bad, you can listen to it. You're feeling kind of, you're driving the car, you can listen to it. It is music that you can listen to, and you don't have to say, what did he say? What were the words? What was that?
Yeah,
No, it's just, it reaches in here, and it just,
Well, thank you.
Why don't I say it? It elevates you. So
That's the feeling. It's a wonderful word, and it was a word I wasn't even aware of, in terms of that context where it's like, kind of like the different meanings of a word. So elevation, there was, obviously elevation in the height of things, but it's connected, right? A high elevation, you're feeling higher and heightened. So it's actually something Kim brought me on, elevation. It's an actual thing. It's an actual, I don't know, whatever they use in psychology. I don't know where she got it from. I'd have to ask her. So I'll dumb it down for myself. But after she explained it, I said, okay, I love this concept. I love this concept of elevation. That's very cool. I remember you too had a song called Elevation,
yes.
Not that I even thought of that song. I was only afterwards. I thought, oh yeah, there was a song, Elevation, you too. But it's if you listen to that song, the heightening of it. But anyway, perspective back to, getting off on a tangent. I did want to have some pieces because I was with Steve, and he's such an amazing creative. We nerd out together there. We're so well. Our collaboration and synergy is so strong. We both bring so many ideas, and we're just like, let's try this, let's try that. Okay, I like this, I don't like that. And it's just a flow of energy and ideas with him that I have it's very unique to find that. And I've only had it very few times in my life with another artist that I had that type of energy. And this is our third album. You know, we did Limitless together, we did Moments together. There was a little bit other collaborations on that with one other person, Greg Kavanaugh, who's another wonderful local Toronto-based artist. But anyway, and this is our third project. So the you know, getting back, like I said, didn't have the twists and turns maybe in terms of some of the pieces. But although the last song, Perspective, is more like a traditional jazz, I don't want to say straight ahead, it's like a bossa, you know, but it's all fingerstyle guitar because I always have to have one song on the album that has, whether it's classical or jazz or just something to show for a guitar player to listen, go, oh, that's a really nice tune, nice chord changes. And so I really enjoyed Perspective.
Yeah, I like the way Perspective flowed. It was a really good close for the
Isn't
album.
it? Yeah, thank you. I thought this is a nice close to the album. Yeah, just
What I liked about that thing you did after Lift is it triggered a thing in my head. Are you going to do an acoustic version of Perspective? A perspective of perspective, right? Where you take the music and you say, this is what I was feeling, only instead of speaking what you're feeling, pull the guitar out and play along or play, but don't have the music playing, just your interpretations of it, so that you're interpreting how you were feeling because it's been years since you were developing.
Yeah.
You've got a new view of it. So it's a perspective of perspective. And when you were playing that piece, it was literally a perspective of Lift. It was not Lift itself. It was you just riffing on Lift. And hearing that, it was like, that's my, just to get pieces of that with you in it. I'm 1,000% certain that that's going to capture people's attention. So you're going to hear that and go, wow, how did he get that from, you listen to Perspective, you pull Perspective and you listen, and you go, but how did he get this from that? And that's your little secret, right? I just listened to it and this is what I pull from it.
I'm going to go check that out, actually. Yeah, after we do this interview, I'm going to go look at it because I'm in the midst of getting into.
So I just get the clip from Lift, go to the end of the music.
Yeah, I have no, honestly, like, I couldn't even tell you what I played.
Quick.
Yeah, it's just the genre. I've been obviously teaching for so long, and I have not all jazz-based roots, but I have a lot of it, like improvisational jazz-based roots. I really love that aspect of it, and yeah, so I'm just comfortable at weighing things. I just like whether it comes out good or bad. I don't really, at this point, I get to the age, I don't care. I just try things, so I don't know. So now I'm really curious what I did there. But like you said, yeah, I get a different perspective from every song on Perspective once I listen back. So that's actually a good concept. Like, what do I take back after, a pause,
But I mean, that could lead to some of the songs that you're trying to develop. And, as you move forward, you can listen to something and say, I did this, but I don't feel that way anymore. I feel this way.
Very true.
This is how it sounds to me. And instead of expressing your emotion, like some people, they journal. This is how I feel today. Take your guitar out and just riff on it and say, this is what I feel today. And record everything, because obviously if you don't record it, you're not going to remember everything you did.
Yeah.
But
no, I like that. That's actually a good idea.
It's kind of it's a bounce idea. And from that, of course, I have to ask you, when you go back and you listen to Perspective, because when you were making it, it had a different emotional impact for you. But when you go back and listen to it, are there any of the songs that you listen to, or when you're playing it, so you're going on a concert tour, that bring out emotions in you?
Yes, 100%. Yeah, quite a few actually. Even before Perspective. Yeah, there's been a lot. I write, my music is just, like you said, it's just, I'm being transparent. It's just real. It's just me. It's based on my emotions, my real stories, my real life experiences. I don't really write, kind of like, quote, fictional based songs. And that's nothing new. A lot of people write, songs about fictional things, they might be wishing for something or a land or a time or something that they're not part of. And, but for me, all my albums are really just really, again, cathartic. I'm just open. I'm transparent. I'm just talking about what I feel, what I play. I'm more interested, I guess, in terms of, and if you look at my bookshelves, they're full of nonfiction, and I don't really read any kind of, not that I have against it, but it's not my brain, I just like to learn and grow and read about things that I can benefit myself in general. And that, again, do I like watching movies? Yeah, I like fictional movies a lot. But in terms of the writing style, my reading, it's mostly nonfiction based. So if I look at this album, there's a few songs that come to mind, but even before I step into this album, for me, one of the songs that I play that I have a hard time even, not tearing up when I play is Shine Bright, Burla Berlante.
Yes.
That Latin tune where we did a beautiful video with Kim, and it shows a picture. And still, I kept it on my Facebook or my social media channels. It's a picture of Julie, my first wife, jumping in the Malta in Malta on a mountain and just enjoying life, but one already knowing the end is coming. It's just trying to live her last time on Earth and really enjoying what time she has left. And so that picture was so meaningful to me, and I use that for the Shine Bright, you know what I mean? And so that's a tough song when I talk about that song to keep myself from getting choked up. And then some new songs on the album here. For me, the song, You Bring Me Joy is basically Kim, it's what brings you joy in life. I think as we get older, I find we have to find what brings us joy, because as we get older, we can get jaded. We're set in our ways, and it's tough to change, right? So I'm thinking, and so this perspective, I thought, what brings me joy in my life, though? Like my family, my children, my parents. I'm still very blessed, and on a day-to-day basis, my sons are older. They live in Oakville now, and they've got their own careers. And my parents are in Mississauga, and my brother and sister-in-law Catherine, my nephew Rowan. Those are my little inner bubble circle. That's what the family I have here, and Kim and her son Chase. So. Who lives with us here. So that's my bubble. And I thought, but on a day-to-day basis, what brings me joy? And I remember thinking, well, it's my wife, the time we spend together, where we're going on walks or grocery, I don't know, we're doing stuff, hanging out, going out, dinners, and, or she listens to my music, comes up to the shows. And so You Bring Me Joy is, really deep. I'm thinking, what brings you joy? Because having almost lost her and her technically passing, we have an interesting situation right now. I'll just divert quickly. She at 11, I think it was just before noon on the 29th of July, she was actually declared dead. Like literally the sheet placed over her, everybody left the room. And then there was a nurse that in the cleanup process actually went to her, and for some reason, I don't know why, checked her pulse and then screamed out, my God, this person has a pulse after 5 cardiac arrests. I don't know which cardiac arrest it was. I think it was the third or something. I can't even, it's hard to, imagine. But anyway, rushed in, and they, defibrillators. I can't even pronounce the word.
Defibrillator.
Yeah, defibrillators. You'd have brought the heart back again after being declared dead by the doctor. And even I'm getting a phone call on the Don Valley Parkway. I'm sorry, I did all I can. Your wife is passed. I'm like, oh my God, because the doctor had left. Then he wasn't. It was just whoever was at Lake Ridge, which are not a trauma center. He gave me a phone call, and I was like, it's just the craziest situation in my life, But that one, on the deepest level, I'm thinking, what brings me joy? And like I'm thinking, if I lost her, like anybody, you losing someone, you lose that joy in your life is gone. So that song really brings me to tears. And the other one is really I'm Okay. That song.
I was going to say that was one. I don't understand how that's not at the top of your list. I get that
it is. Yeah, that one
is there, but I'm okay knowing the story behind it. That to me, even to me,
yeah,
you take that breath in when you think about it, because
yeah,
especially after what you went through and what you went through, and for her to say it again and again and again and again and again on repeat.
Yeah, on repeat. Like honestly,
because it's a mantra
hundreds
in her
and
head.
hundreds of times.
I'm getting through. I'm okay. So yeah,
exactly. Yeah, that the story there is just hearing. And at first I didn't know, because she had a tracheotomy for so long because of just the damage. But anyway, she was and then when after that I came out of the coma, and then she was I know she was saying 2 things. The first thing she kept saying was I couldn't understand was what happened. She kept with just the mouth was like, you couldn't see it, but she kept saying what happened. She had no clue what happened to her, right? So that was the first part of the first month or 2 in the hospital after she regained consciousness. It was like, what happened? But I couldn't hear. I just kept my ear, and she was just like this little burble, little whisper. But anyway, eventually, once she regained her faculties and just learning to walk and breathe, and just eat and just stay stuff we take for granted. Yeah, she kept saying this self-soothing thing. I'm okay. And again, I didn't hear that because her breath, her voice and her was all from the tracheotomy. She couldn't talk for so long, just little whispers and burbles and stuff like that. And then finally, I think I said, she's saying I'm okay, And oh man, I'm trying not to cry, but yeah, it was crazy.
Sorry, I didn't mean to bring it to this,
No, no,
but
no, no. Well, it's real though, but this is
yeah,
my perspective. This was the reality. And I said,
yeah,
ah man, I gotta write a song about that, you know. And it has to
awesome.
be a chill, it has to be a song that just kind of bops along. Does that make if it makes sense? It has to just move kind of one direction because that's how she was. She was just, I'm okay. I'm okay. And sometimes she would say it on cycle repeatedly. I'm okay. Okay. Just constantly telling herself that I can get through this, whatever she was going through mentally at that particular moment in the life. Yeah. So that song is very meaningful to me in terms of what the meaning is. And so, again, yeah, you have to know the backstory because sometimes someone will just read that and say, I'm okay. Okay. Well, yeah, I'm okay. It kind of sounds like a boring statement. I'm okay. In general. Well, from my perspective, when I hear those words now, I'm okay. It has an incredibly deep meaning. So, but again, obviously, I don't expect everybody to get that. As long as if they like the song, and for me, if when I listen to it and it gets the value across, and Gabriel Mark Hasselhoff was on that on the trumpet, and that came very late, by the way. That song was pretty much done, but it was missing something to me. You know, it was missing some just something, you know, and then I immediately thought, you know, this is missing some flugelhorn, like a nice, beautiful, soft, you know, lines to reinforce what I'm saying and little, just little splashes of trumpet. I didn't want Gabriel to like over, not that he would, but you know, we edited there and the parts and just little sections where he could really come out and conjure a beautiful vibe, you know, was I was looking for that song. So it ended up working out even better, but that was like literally last last second addition to the album, like really late. Yeah, Kim brings me lemon water, just hot water with lemon. I love it in the morning just to kind of like get your body hydrated.
yeah,
And she brings it right first thing in the morning. Sometimes by the time I drink it, it's almost cold because I'm sleep like it's dropped off every day because she's an early riser, so it might be there at 6:37, 8 o'clock on average in my room, and I'm getting up at usually 8:30. Now, you know me, because obviously that's my world. And it's right there, not this mug, but I have my little hubby. It's called Hubby Mug. And it's right beside my bed every morning, rain or shine, you know what I mean? And I love her for that and for many other things, but that brings me joy. You know what I mean? These little things, right?
oh, yeah,
What brings you joy? And like I said, I always think perspective, like how I got to really appreciate that because the latter thing is I wouldn't have somebody making me that. You know what I mean? So it's
yeah.
I got to enjoy that. Every little thing in life we got to really not take for granted because it can be gone in an instant. And I've been through there, and obviously many other people have been there. But when you get that perspective in life, it really shifts your whole core being, right? So yeah, this has been a real just a beautiful. It's been a real great experience though. Working with Steve again, we always, like I said, as creatives, we really have a good time. And the first single, "Keep Going," it speaks again. It just a real positive, uplifting, high energy kind of song. And I thought that was fitting for the first single
Yeah.
to go on. That just came out April 4th. So and it's been doing really, really good. Still in radio promotion mode with Jason Gorov, and we're week 4 going on now. And it's doing really well. And yeah, it's a really good song. So I'm looking forward to playing these live. Because we were talking about songs and I'm already thinking of other music. And like I said, I'm already working with my brother on a rock project now. And this album hasn't even come out till May 16th. And I wouldn't even get to start playing it till the summer and the fall. And next year I have shows set. So it's always like that when you're in this. You're just always moving forward and you keep going, right? You just got to keep going and keep pushing and pushing and pushing. So
I know that on Woke Up, you have vocals. On The Force, La
oh,
Fuerza,
La Fuerza. There's
you
another Latin
have
one for
vocals,
you.
but I was going to ask you, are they tech vocals? Like, are they something that's synthesized or are they actual people in there? Because
So
you hear vocal in there.
yeah, that's just like a choir setting. No, that was pure production that we have in the studio. So
Oh,
I
fantastic.
wish I had the budget to hire a choir, but it sounds like a choir, you know.
Yes, yes.
So that's the fun. But but they're all real voice samples. You know,
Okay.
it's not AI or anything like that. I don't have any AI on this album or stuff like that.
Okay.
The only AI I think that I even was remotely in terms of the mastering software. I think there was some new mastering software where we're doing it here. I did that in Brampton with a dear friend of mine, and I know he's been integrating some mastering software into his into the mastering process, right, to make
Right.
that. So that's about it. But other than that, no, those are all real voices. that we found. We have like these vocal libraries
Mhm.
you can get, and they have all sorts, like children's choirs, adults, men,
Oh,
women,
cool.
yeah, all sorts of choir. Yeah, you name it. There's so many, and they're all professionally recorded in, like, literally they'll take microphones, and hang them over a choir and have them sing just vowels. Oh, it's almost like Gregorian. It's almost like Gregorian chanting,
Yeah.
and it's very much that vibe. And I love that sound. I thought, oh, that's a nice lift to that song. It'll really help in those choruses and stuff like that. So I love that vocal sound without having a singer and an individual voice. I like more the choir effect.
Right.
And that was the first time I've actually done that. And I'm having like kind of a choir vibe on a chorus, just to
Right.
to
I
lift
mean,
it, just to
you
lift it.
orchestrated Elevation to do a choir on some of the songs that you have might also play in, right? And when you're doing the live concerts, it would be interesting to get local choirs, just tap them and say, hey, can you come in and do this piece and have them actually come out?
It's a tough market, for myself. Being an instrumental based artist, it's a
Mhm.
tough sell in some places. It's true. And I know that. And you know, and even though I do sing, I should sing more, because actually I can sing and I have sung before. But in terms of like real, not just on my album, some deep baritone kind of lines I'm singing, but I've done some vocal singing in public, and I'd like to do a lot more of it. I think it's just something me personally I have to overcome. I'm not as comfortable singing live as I am playing guitar. I don't even care. I'll just pick up a guitar and play anywhere. I don't even think about it. But singing, I'm a little bit. I'll be honest. I'm a little bit more self-conscious. On how my voice is, my pitch, and and my look, and how am I vibing. So we all have our little, quirks, and for me, that always has been one of them, is singing in public. I'm getting a lot better with it. And I do a lot of times when I'm at college with my ensembles, I'm singing I'm singing along or helping conduct them. And I do it all the time, but I'm talking like in front of a captive audience where everybody's all eyes are on me and I'm
Yep.
singing, that I have my own little hurdles to overcome there, I think, with my self-consciousness of how I sound and stuff like that. One album concept I do have, I'll share today with you and your audience, is that I would really like to actually redo some of the songs I have vocally, because I think the melodies are so strong, they're almost crying out for vocals.
Mhm.
And I did that on several songs, like Off the Right Time. That song, The Right Time, started off as an instrumental in 2007 or 8, 9 when that album came out. And then in 2011, when I redid the Balance, Energy, Laughter, Love album, I wrote all the lyrics. I actually had quite a bit of lyrics already for that song. I was always singing, "It's the right time." I was always singing that line. I just did it instrumentally because I just wasn't comfortable, I guess, at that point in my career with writing a vocal song. And it ended up being multiple songs, like Moments in Time, and it was an instrumental. Then there's a vocal version. Once in a Lifetime, which I love. I wish that song got a little more publicity, because it features one of the tenors right now who's on tour, Mark Masry, who's they're touring the world right now with the Canadian tenors,
Wow.
and he sings on it, and he's just an incredible vocal force. And we have several videos of us obviously online. You can watch him playing live with me. But that song started off too as instrumental. And then, I had the chorus melodies, and we co-wrote the rest of the verses and pre-chorus and bridges together. And with the music, that song was kind of done. It was just an instrumental song. I said, you know what? I think this one needs. So my point is, I think I'd like to do possibly an album where I have a bunch of other tunes, even off this album. I'm thinking, like, I hear vocal melodies all the time, and I hear lyrics, and I think, wow, the Rob Tardik vocal album it'll be due. I don't know when yet, but it's gonna happen. Whether I have other people singing on it, or myself, but yeah, yeah. And when it comes to Loving You, again, that's another one. I get so many um, comments from other artists who end up singing on that song live. They go, "Oh, I love this song. This is such a good song." And so that's one that, again, should have done them as radio singles, and they never ended up being pop radio singles, but they could have. In all
Yeah.
honesty, that one. I think we even pitched that to Michael Bublé one time with somebody. Um, yeah, that's a really, I'll have to say, I'm very proud of that one. When it comes to Loving You, that's a great tune, co-written with Don Brythup from Monkey House, and which is a killer band, and Brass Transit, the Chicago tribute that he does. Don and his brother, the Brythup brothers, are just incredible Emmy award winning, talented guys. And so again, it's making those transitions, from where my comfort zone is, and then, like you said, taking more risks and pushing
Yeah.
yourself to elevate, things. So vocals would be one definite area where I would see either myself, I start singing on more vocal tunes, and in the future doing a vocal album. So I don't know when, but it's definitely on my radar. That is for sure. But I think the rock project is going to come out first. I think I just need to get that off.
Get that off your
I
chest.
need
Yeah,
to get that
sure.
off my chest. But a new one, like Paradise Alley, that was a rock album in 2020, but it wasn't any new material. It was all material I just remastered and let people hear because it was never released songs. And I still have about probably another 10 songs that were never released ever, but I just gotta let them go.
Yeah.
Just they sound dated now. They don't sound like something fresh and modern. I would want to release out on a mass level.
Yeah.
So now it's time for new fresh material. So
See if you can get in your rock album some music that can be sung. And I know I saw the one video of you and a female artist singing together.
yeah.
Um,
Oh,
you
Sandra,
could
yeah,
do
yeah.
something like that as well, right? You
Yeah.
singing, somebody else coming out as a spot singer on the album. It's a possibility. Do it.
Oh, no, no. Well, the rock album is all vocal, by the way. I should have clarified.
Oh,
It's not instrumental. It's
no
all
guitar
vocal.
at all. Oh,
Oh,
good.
no, no, no. It's guitar. It's like yeah, I don't want to name a band that it sounds like because I don't want to, again.
Yeah.
It's gonna be no all original hard rock music in general. Pop rock, no, I'd say it's pretty heavy because it's guitar, it's gonna have
Yep.
one or two guitars on it, and no, it's gonna have a definitely more hard edge sound, not metal or anything like that, but more a hard edge sound. But no, it's all vocal. Every song, and four or five of the songs I've written already for it that are going to be on the album are written with Sandra, that singer. We
Oh,
wrote a bunch of songs together. Yeah, it was again during COVID when I was releasing the rock project. We were writing as well together. So we have a song called Breathe, which there is a video on my YouTube channel, my Paradise Alley channel. I might have hard to find time, but if you look under Paradise Alley, Rob Tardik, you'll find a song I released on video called Breathe. It's a live video. I was playing that song. Then there's Over and Under. There's Never Needed It. And what's the other one? Move. There's a song called Move. And then another song I'm writing right now. I'm not done with it yet, but it's coming. It's called Why. It's like Find Your Why in life, So I think the song might be called Find Your Why, or I think I'm just going to call it Why. But it's like find your why and learn to love. You know what I mean? And it's like more of a pop. It's almost like got a Def Leppard-y, maybe hard rock feel to it.
okay.
But that's all good. So anyway, yeah, there's a lot of songs. My brother has a bunch. So we already have an album's worth of songs in the works. We just got to figure a budget, recording where, and a singer who's going to sing on all the tracks. Whether we get one singer to do the whole project or we get multiple singers. It's hard.
You.
Yeah,
Rob, you.
Oh
Get
yeah,
out of your
well, I
comfort
don't know.
zone.
Yeah. We'll see. Yeah, maybe.
Try it.
Yeah, try it.
While you're recording, do a track of yourself singing it and see if it fits in or not.
Yeah.
Instead of making it happen that way, try it and see how it sounds, right?
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate the encouragement. You've always been good stuff.
Well, I mean,
See,
I got to play the voice of devil's advocate. I got to play
Yeah.
the voice of encouragement, that little hint in the background saying, you can do it, man. You can do
Yeah,
it.
no. Well, I need that. Like I said, I was transparent when I said earlier, my voice thing. Yes, like I said, I'm definitely 100% admitting to anybody watching yourself. I'm a little self-conscious of it. So it's, like I said, in the moment, like I sing all the time, like in college and when I'm teaching my students, I'm constantly telling them to sing what they play, connect with your voice and organically connect with music. So I'm singing when I'm teaching, I'm singing all the time to my students. We sing songs together. We were just doing Wicked Game by Chris Isaak, which is such a cool tune. I forgot about that song when we're learning it for one of my students is going to be performing it in June, and I'm going to be on the second guitar. Where when I do recitals, I kind of take the battle. Obviously, I don't want to be in the spotlight. I let my students sit up front. I kind of just sit in the shadow and I accompany them. We play the guitar, but we're working on that Chris Isaak song and then Free Falling by Tom Petty.
Oh,
But the John Mayer version. She's a good girl, and that John Mayer version, I'll be honest, I like the John Mayer version better than I like the Tom Petty version. I just love the trio of John playing it live with his two other, it's killer. They got great harmonies and it's a great video if you can watch that song. John Mayer live, I don't know where, Madison Square Garden playing Free Falling live. And we're kind of working from that template, for this song with the singer, the young male singer, Adam, I'm working with. And so, yeah, it's kind of fun. I'm thinking now, we sing all the time at practicing. And I don't know what it is. I got to get myself, like I said, I got to get more singing myself as an artist. So
You just got to trust yourself. That's all. Just
I
got to
do.
reach in and go, you know what, I can do this. I don't
Yeah.
care what anybody else thinks. I can do this. Think of it like your guitar, only this is your guitar, not
Yeah.
this.
I
That's
think that's
all.
the real thing there. Yeah. Like just trust myself. Yeah, you can sing. You can do this. You're me. Like I hear pitch. I know when I'm off, but it's just, I don't know, man. I got to overcome this little hurdle. So I'm getting
Eh,
closer. I'm inching, closer and closer all
If
the
I hear
time.
it and it's not you, I'm going to be on your case. That's all I can say. I'll be back here and I'll be talking to
Yeah.
you live. Hey, what is going on? That is not you.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
something
Well,
else.
the hard rock one, I don't know. That's like some of the vocals are, you need some real serious pipes. I've said this so many times to myself, and I can't even quantify how many times people said, "We really like your music, but do you sing?" You're like, is there vocals in this music? Because if you think about it, in general, Western culture is vocal-based music. It's not instrumental. So most people in general who are not musicians or have any ties to music are just going about their regular whatever they do to create joy in their life within their framework. They turn on whatever spot, whatever you listen to music these days because it's so varied. In general, most people listen to, if you agree, vocal-based music as a general populace. But then again, obviously persons like me and yourself will listen to classical and jazz and instrumental but it's more of a niche, in terms of global numbers. It's a vocal, that's vocals kind of, that's the way the world, the songs of our lives are vocal based songs for the most part. And so it's just, for me to connect to that is definitely a goal. But it's interesting. I was going to mention to you and your audience that I'm working on some shows, hopefully to come out to. Right now, the closest would be, well, Montreal. Where Steph, I'm trying to get where you're based out of again.
Ottawa.
You're Ottawa, yeah. So that's what I thought was in the. So Montreal, well, upstairs,
Yeah.
it's a beautiful venue there. So I was just speaking to Joel, who's the manager and who runs the venue there. We spoke yesterday because I'm always, like I said, I'm planning shows. I'm in marketing kind of mode and planning. So yeah, we're trying to decide something for the fall, for me to come up to there. And then that's why I was going to say, okay, and we're going to plan to something. I got to connect something in Ottawa on the way, so it's close. So from coming to upstairs to Montreal,
Yeah.
I don't know when yet. I'm thinking maybe October, November.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask if we could do something there in the fall. September might be a little bit of a challenge because I think I'm going to Vancouver for an
Mhm.
album release show there. So I'll see how the timing is, but and the West Coast. So yeah, I'll keep you and your audience informed. Hopefully we'll get close to you guys in Ottawa, and
That would
I'll
be
pick
nice.
your.
I saw something just before, well, yesterday while I was listening to your music, something popped up in the music genre world. I saw it and I went, oh, you would have loved the venue. I don't know where it is. All I saw was it was a candlelight venue. They
Mm,
have thousands of candles and they have musicians playing up in front, and you sit almost in the dark. I don't know if it's in an old church or where it is.
yeah,
And it's all acoustic. There's very little electrical anything. And I could see you sitting and just storytelling and playing music in that kind of a venue. People would get lost. They'd absolutely lose themselves listening to that. And you'd fit that genre perfectly.
yeah. I've seen. Yeah, they're candlelight. I think they're just called candlelight concerts, right? I've seen them in the classical genre first. That's where I've seen them maybe a few years back. It's maybe 4 or 5 years. I could be wrong, but I've seen them for the last 3 to 5 years, I think, in
Okay.
general. Yeah, candlelight concerts. And now they're going more into, yeah, they've been branching out almost into pop and rock and bringing some, more mainstream artists. But it started in kind of a classical realm.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. That's been on my radar too. I said, okay, that sounds like a cool. I just don't have the contact. I don't know who's booking it. But now I think it's being booked in several places, it's not just
Yep.
one.
Yep.
But yeah, that seems like a really cool place to chill and
Yeah. Just
just
do
even doing
acoustic.
all acoustic thing.
Yep.
Yeah, I would just play my songs acousticized. And especially the Latin ones, I think would really work. And some of the, well, any song I can make work. I can definitely tone it
We get
acoustically.
elevation, get that one out there, but have a choir step out, and you're not even
Yeah,
expecting it, and they come out from behind you and they start adding to, and you just, oh, you get freaked out by having that.
yeah, I really enjoyed that. I love that song I got to play. Like I said, if you the Take Your Power Back, for those watching, if you're interested, if you go on that video on my YouTube channel, if you look for Take Your Power Back, the concert, you'll see that song. That's in that concert, and there's some clips of Elevation, and
Mhm.
yeah, that's a fun piece. But yeah, like you said, to orchestrate it. That's another bucket list thing for me for sure, is to have some of my songs orchestrated to play with a full orchestra, or in some context,
Mhm.
that would be fantastic to be able to do. That's just for me personally. That'd be, oh, just to sit and play guitar and have that behind me supporting me, would be, I think for many musicians that's something. When I see other artists do that, I go, oh wow, that's really really cool. Yeah, well, there's so much, so much to look forward to. That's why I would say, there's a lot of good things. There's so much good in the world, or good ideas and things that are to come. So whenever I get myself a down day, I'm out for a few hours or half a day or day or whatever, but then I'm always kind of bouncing back. And it's that whole keep going mentality. You just got to keep going. We're humans. We all fall. We misstep, and it's just how do we pick ourselves up, right? To find again, to elevate yourselves. How do you bring joy to your life? How do you keep going?
Listen to your music, Rob. That's how you should
Yeah,
do it. You having a down day? Turn on some of your music.
yeah. Well, hopefully, I think hopefully fans are doing that, and I'm trying to build my audience and get back out there, and that's why I think I was talking earlier about the radio, getting back some songs on radio, and or just Spotify streaming, all the different digital platforms these days. It's all working together, and having been away from it for a while, it's good to be back, and I want to push. And there's a few songs, and "You Bring Me Joy." I think that's another one. I think that's going to be a good one I can push to radio and for mass appeal. And although Kim's favorite song on the album is, I don't know if you could can you maybe try to guess what Kim's favorite song? She loves all the music, obviously, but this one, when she hears it, she just goes. And I didn't think it'd be the one she loved, but she just loves it.
I'm sort of between two. I am actually between two. One of them is Force,
Hmm.
La Fuerza, and
Yes.
one of them is
We talked about it earlier.
yeah, I know. Is it Evolve?
Yes, it is.
There you go.
Look at you. You are connected and feeling it. I love it. Well, no, it's like because you give a crap, basically, for lack of a word. Life is interesting, and you always want to keep growing, and as an artist and as a human being, and finding out different things around us, because there's so many interesting things. So I think being a creative, and my mindset is always about learning and trying to do different things, and you know, inspiring my wife to going now that she's back to work, been doing, the last year and a half. It took a while for her before she went to work. Now it's being more that entrepreneurial spirit. She always says to me, like, you're my inspiration for becoming. She goes, if I was not with you, I would never, or before I met you, I would have never been an entrepreneur. I was zero risk taker. Just, she was in education and teaching, and that's where she her comfort zone. But quitting her college and university teaching and starting her own business and going out and not knowing when her next, you know, paycheck is coming. You know what I mean? You don't have a weekly, 2 week deposited pay stub.
Mhm.
I've never had, in general, I don't, maybe the only place now from the college I get that for the summer, but that's over, right? For me now, there's no, like, I had zero in general. I've always lived since I'm a teenager with zero income that comes in on a regular basis. It's like if I'm not hustling for something, or teaching even as a teacher, I'm all contract and consulting. So I invoice everybody. I have to write, and I'm doing all my own HST and checks. I'm completely self-employed. Other than, yeah, the college, when I'm at Centennial College, and they'll give me a T4 and
Yeah,
stuff like our T5, or sorry, and
yeah.
the royalty ones are T4s. So you get all those. But yeah, so it's just that's the life. I think a lot of us creatives and self-employed people, we're willing to take risks and try things and go out, and yeah, and some months, yeah, it's feast and famine, 100%. And summertime is always, once for me, the teaching starts lowering, although I'm still teaching at various places here still. So I keep that regular income coming in. I consult and I go out and I get hired and do my thing. But yeah, summer months, we really, like everybody, all artists are really, if you're in Toronto or Montreal, Ottawa, this zone, we're all trying to vying for some, space, performance space, right? Because it's
Yep.
good weather is out. So every artist kind of comes out, every genre. We want to get out to a festival and concerts. So I'm waiting to hear back from a lot of like festivals that I've applied to, literally. And, I got one local one yesterday, which is great. I got a small show here, another one in Whitby comes, and just little, there's pulling through, and but yeah, you just got to keep hustling, keep going.
Yeah, well, I mean, you say you have the entrepreneurial spirit and you challenge yourself and you take risks. Sing.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, I gotta do, like I said, I am doing it on a kind of a regular basis, but I got it, like you said, now it's like one next step would be, yeah, but make that part of the Rob Tardik show as well, where there's
Yeah,
vocals. And there's a few songs I've written that I could definitely, like when it comes to Loving You,
yeah.
The Right Time, Moments, and I'm Missing to You, Once in a Lifetime. I love that song. I just, when I hear Mark sing that song and he does the one vocal melody, I'm going, okay, that part I'm gonna have to maybe sing an octave lower because there's no way I don't have tenor. I actually am a baritone, but
Yeah.
or crossover tenor, but obviously I do have realistic expectations. Because if your audience listens to that once in a lifetime, there's some real fantastic vocals
Yeah.
from Mark on there. So, but yeah,
You booked the Ottawa Jazz Festival.
sorry, say that again about
The Ottawa Jazz Festival. Have you put in your
I applied to that one or not? I
Yeah.
might have missed the deadline for that. I'm not sure. That one definitely, yeah, would be on my radar for maybe, if not this year, for 2025. But the new album is just coming out right now. So you're always booking about a year, you know what I mean, in advance
Yeah.
for a lot of when you're trying to get festivals and bigger shows and theaters and
Sure.
just traveling. You're never booking. It's not like I'm playing the local, nothing wrong with the local bar scene or local club scene. You can book that a month or two or a few months out, whatever. But for bigger stuff like festivals, you're planning like months and months, if not a year in advance, or a show you're planning. It'd be great to see you guys and come out there and put on a good show for people. And it'll be probably a smaller venue, but that festival I'll definitely look into. I might have had it on my list. I have to check my computer. End up applying to so many festivals. I might have applied to that. I'm not even sure. I'd have to look through my that folder in my computer. But I don't think I did it in time. I think that's kind of like some of them where you're a little bit late. Some of them you have to do so early. Like some of them, the deadlines was last, say, October or September.
Right,
So
right after they're finished, a month later, they're saying put in your thing for and
yeah, absolutely. So some of it's closed. A lot of the bigger ones they're closed by the fall of last year. So some of the smaller ones, they're all closed now. You can't even apply for any festival now. But many of them close by September, between September and December. Many of them are take all, like I know Toronto Jazz they're done by early as well, and Ottawa's probably the same. The bigger ones, because they need time to prepare everything, right? They're getting
they've got to put all the venue cards together and everything else. And
it's huge.
I mean, still there is that opportunity of somebody canceling last minute, which has
Yes,
happened so many times, and they don't want to have an empty stage.
of course.
So if they can pull in an artist last minute. Same
Yeah.
thing with the Montreal Jazz Festival. That one, I'm sure it's as big as the Toronto one, if not
Yes,
bigger.
it's huge,
And
bigger. Yeah.
yeah, and they've got stages all over the city. It's not like they have specific venues. They allow people to be anywhere. So
Yeah.
that one's another one. Look at your list, see if you've applied to that one, because I'd go to Montreal to watch it. I mean, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
my wife and I've got her hooked on your music, so
Oh, wonderful.
definitely come and listen to that.
Well, hopefully, if the upstairs, if that's not too bad, you can come to that one because that one's looking quite promising. I haven't got the date yet solidified,
Okay.
but it'll be for the fall. So I'll be talking to Joel in the first week of June. We're going to plan to set a date because he hasn't planned. He said he's not there yet, planning out October, November, kind of December. But we will get to it. He goes shortly.
Okay.
But and then like I said, I'd like to tie something towards Ottawa, and I'll keep you in the loop there, and I'll have the Godin guys come out, so we'll have some good support from Godin Guitars and try to make a cool event out of it, because I got my dear friends in with the Kim Possible guitar, and which is right over here behind, sitting beside me. And they're a good group of people who build amazing instruments, and they're in La Patrie, Quebec, so which is just outside Montreal. They're very close. I know Mario, where my dear friend, he lives just outside, and so does Fred. So they're waiting. They've been waiting to go, when you coming to Montreal? Well, we got to put a show. We got to put some things together, some promo. We'll bring out some guitars. So I'm thinking like, okay, that'd be really cool. I even do a guitar giveaway, I'm thinking at the show. So who knows? You might end up getting a guitar out of the deal. So might be worth the drive to upstairs. And
then I have that behind me. I have my Rob Tardik special right there.
Yeah. Well, I've done that before. I have done some shows where I partnered with Godin, not recently, but in 2013, 15, 16, for those albums like Limitless and Moments, when I did some of my concerts, I did a guitar. Yeah, I had some Godin donate some acoustic guitars. It was mostly acoustics. I thought that was generally more for people. It's an easier one. You don't have to buy an amp and all that kind of stuff if you win a guitar. generally a nice acoustic steel string guitar is generally nice for people to just get a good way to get acquainted to guitar if you've never played.
Yeah.
You know, an electric, you got to go out and buy the amp and some
Yep.
accessories, and which is cool. Whatever motivates you to practice, I tell my students is, hey, have that instrument. But for the giveaways, yeah, so I'll be talking to them about that. Hopefully, I know they'll be involved. If we do a show in Montreal, that's 100%. You know, I can say that because, like I said, those were like family with Godin after all these decades together. So they're just waiting. They're saying, hey, let us know, and we'll be coming out to support that event and promoting it.
Fantastic.
So yeah, so good. So a lot of good things to look forward to in the
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. You
in the
have to
near
let me know
future.
if you get that. And if you get an Ottawa gig, even better. I don't have to go this far, but I'd
Yeah,
go anyways.
I really do want to, set that up as well. And yeah, I'll pick your brains. I think we talked about this last year. Like, what are some of the main venues that somebody would come through that would enjoy this type of music?
Yeah,
Because not every
venues are
venue.
pretty open, really, to be quite honest. There's very few venues that are specific.
Ah, interesting.
The Rainbow is still open, but I think that's more rock and roll, but they might lean towards having somebody come in and play,
Hmm.
the music that you have, which is a
Hmm.
mix and mash, unless you're specifically focusing on one thing.
Right.
Um, so they're in the market. I mean, obviously, if you were here in 1990 something, you'd know the Rainbow. The Rainbow's been
Yeah.
around since Ottawa's been around, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
No, I've been there. Yeah, me and Julie, back in the days when, again, I first met Julie, we were rock and rollers, you know,
yeah.
we met at a rock and roll heaven, a rock venue where I used to play and perform, and down Yonge and Bloor Street, you know, it
Oh, I
was,
remember. I've been in Toronto for decades myself. I've been down there, and I know some of the places, and a lot of them have disappeared. Same thing in
they've
Ottawa. A lot of the
disappeared,
venues that are here gone.
gone.
And
Yeah.
I don't know. It was pre-COVID. A lot of them left, and then COVID killed a lot more of them. It's
Yes.
difficult to find a good venue anymore to
Hmm.
play in. So I'll keep my ear to the ground, and I'll start looking around for newer places. There are
Yeah. If you have
small,
any
really
places,
quiet, tiny venues that have popped open because they like that kind of a very
yeah.
intimate space.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I think for you,
I'm
it's
all
got to
into
be a bit
that.
bigger. You need more of an audience because your music is going to have a bigger draw.
Yeah. Well, I hope so. I haven't played Ottawa, so maybe the name doesn't resonate. But that's what I'm saying. That's why even when we talked about perspective, is I wrote some songs again that, like let's get some songs that have some mass appeal that people can connect to within this genre, but let's tell the story that I still connect to. I'm not like selling out and, writing a song that doesn't, like you said, that has no, you would feel it, especially someone like yourself who has a more intimate connection to music, and you're listening. You're what I tell my students, you have to actively listen to music and you're connecting to it organically,
Yeah.
right? Really using the ears, because so much of us, so many people listen to music today with their eyes, right? I'm always teaching my students because, there's all these YouTube channels and everybody's, doing guitar, whatever lessons, and they're just playing on a screen, and they're literally what I'm doing. The students are like leaning in. What finger was that? Where was the finger? And so, it's funny at my lessons, I tell students, don't watch my fingers. Listen to what I'm doing,
Mhm.
because they're sorry, sir. What, I don't know. I can't tell what note you're playing. What note? What do you mean, what note am I playing? You're not listening,
Yeah.
right? You got to listen. It's not to shame them, it's to teach them that, just a short, if you're older than 25, basically years old, or 20 years old, there was none of this to learn,
Mhm.
right? You couldn't go out watch a YouTube tutorial how to learn to play Eruption by Van Halen or an AC or Guns or I don't know, whatever song you wanted to play.
Yeah.
You listened to a CD or a cassette. I have a cassette player and CD players. Right? You can't see them from the studio, but I if I watch a CD or I'm watching my turntable here, there's no answers on there for me visually, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing. I can watch a spinning disc, but it's not going to tell me how to play that. What chord was that just went by? I'm not seeing it. The disc is not telling me the answer. But today, if you're 20 and under, because YouTube, I always think is a 2005, it started.
Yeah.
And look at now, 20 years later, it's the platform. And I use it all the time to watch stuff as well, but I don't use it for learning songs. I always tell students, there's a balance. I go, hey, if you're in a pinch, sure, you can pull up a thing, but don't forget to connect the ears, because just a short 20 years ago, musicians were playing and learning songs, and they didn't have a visual medium to just,
Yeah.
to watch music. So, and that's the way you're learning. But today, young people, and I get it's not their fault. That's if you grow up today, you have an iPad or you have your phone, or your parents can let you borrow theirs. And if you're inclined to play a guitar or a bass or whatever instrument, you're just watching, right? Especially with guitar, it can be such a visual thing, but that's not the way the instrument works. It's a very one-dimensional way to learn instrument. Plus, you're not connecting your ears, right?
You're not being authentic because the sound is what you're going for, and your own sound is what you're developing. And if all you're doing is copying fingering, you're not producing a sound that's yours. You're producing a sound.
You're parroting. It's a parrot, right? You're parroting.
You mimic something. Great.
You're mimicking. Yeah.
What's your feel? What's your take on it? What do you mean feel? I can feel my fingers on the strings. That's not music. It's not that. It's this coming out through it.
That's right. And I was, and I tell them, I go, and I totally get it where you're coming from as a young person. Like I said, 20, 25 and under, I get it. This is where you go to your source: Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok videos. It's all videos, right? Everything's video. And there's nothing wrong with that. But in terms of learning an instrument, a guitar skill, it was developed organically, like you said, through human condition. The heartbeat of music. Blues is a heartbeat, the turn of the century. When you hear a basic blues rhythm, it's down, down, right? It's a heartbeat. Blues was born of strife and poverty and cultural upheaval in the late 1800s and the turn of the century, which led to all the fragmentation of that style of rock and jazz, and everything was born from the blues. And then whichever way you go into, I don't care if you're alternate rock or heavy metal, and everything is blues based, and before then it was, depending what your Baroque or the classical, the Romantic area, or whatever, or the medieval period, and to start off music, right? Whatever period of music you're into, all those artists, legions and millions, and all those art, everybody connected organically through, like said, touching the strings or the keys or the horn, the breath, the embouchure. Everybody's connecting that way. And as a guitar professor now at the colleges and stuff like that, I see the students who are coming in on the younger levels are very much not connected organically with music. Like I said, it's more of a parrot. They mime the songs. They can play, because now a 10-year-old can watch a tutorial, somebody showing them, watching the fingers of how to learn a piece that would take normally, me or you playing guitar years ago, I'd have to use my ears, right? I didn't know how to learn the song. Nobody was showing me where the notes of the Van Halen or whatever I was learning to play, or a jazz standard, or it was a George Benson tune. I'd have to listen over and over and note by note, and I'd hit a note. That's not the right note. And then a phrase, and then you learn, your brain learns to code, like, oh, okay, it's this type of phrasing. Oh, it's this pattern, which I didn't even know what it was called. Oh, but that's that scale now, you know what I mean? Or that's that chord. And you learned organically to connect the notes, and it's all these vibrations. It's just energy. But, I always tell my students, a parrot can maybe say the word cracker, but it doesn't know what the ingredients in a cracker are, or where to buy a cracker,
what a cracker tastes like until it gets one.
Yeah, or spells it. How do you spell cracker? Because people say, oh, my bird is so smart. You listen to my bird, and I'd be the guy in there and go like, yeah, your bird's not that smart. Like you're stretching here. Like, okay, can your bird spell cracker? That'll be impressive for me. Like,
can your bird bake a cracker?
Can you bake a cracker? Or even know what the ingredients in the metro to go and buy a cracker? Anyway, we're joking, but it's the truth. But when you approach music from that way, if you learn like there was a phase where all my students were learning John Mayer songs. All the guys, everyone learning John Mayer, and they're learning all the songs. But then you're auditioning students at college, and you're asking them, okay, that's really cool. What key are you in? Oh, I don't know. What chord are you playing? Just crickets. You know what I mean? And what scale? I don't know. I just memorized the song how to play it, sir. Don't expect me to know it. I go, that's an imbalance. I get it. You're playing it, but the motion, the feeling, the organic connection to the song there's not there. Even the artist would tell you that. Like, yeah, you're parroting my song quite well, but you're not feeling it like me. The tone, the texture, the form, all these other elements are not there.
Exactly. All you have to do is take it off a scale. Just go one riff, like the actual artist goes, how about this? And changes one riff, one scale, one note, and says, let's take it in this direction. They wouldn't be able to follow.
No,
because they don't have the skill to understand what just happened and where to go with it.
That's right.
You're talking about music. I talked with another individual. We were talking about the bass structure of music, that it came from tribal. You want to go back.
Absolutely.
All music comes from tribal.
Rhythms.
All music comes from that beat. Like you said, the heartbeat, the thumping sound, the vocalization of
tribal music,
of a desire.
To save your life, basically, right? It came out of necessity, because if the tribes did not communicate internally with each other, the other tribes would come out and just demolish them in the middle of the night. Yeah. That's what would happen, because they didn't have a war cry. They didn't have a way to communicate with each other. And it was all through rhythms at first, right? Wasn't it? And some vocalizations, but music started in Africa, as we know, or maybe don't all know, and it was purely for self-defense and to survive.
Yeah.
That's why,
But that beat
rhythms.
structure and the concept of taking elevating the basic beat to something to more expression. I want to talk about something. I want to express something more. That's where you get classic. That's where you get Gregorian chant. That's where you take music in that direction. And a hint that came to mind when you were talking about educating your students, probably during a session when you're saying, okay, we're going to learn this, we're going to do this song, and they're all watching you, turn off the lights.
Yeah, I've done that.
Play in the black and just play the music and then turn on the lights and say, can you do it? And they'd all be sitting there
Yeah,
until you can do it in the dark. You know where your fingers are on the guitar.
yeah,
Play 3 notes for me in the dark.
yeah, absolutely.
Because
Yep.
that means that their heart and soul are a part of the machine now, as
Yeah,
opposed to I can see myself doing this. Because
exactly.
seeing is not music.
No, mirroring others is not, yeah, like, yeah, 100%. And I've done that, and appreciate you saying that. And I can name you 3 songs when I recorded Corazon Contento off Bell, and when I did the main one, Blue Midnight, off the Bell album, Complete Darkness. I purposely did exactly what you did, especially on that 2011 album for some reason. I remember clearly Daver on Blue Midnight, Daver, kill the studio lights. I want to feel this tune. I don't want to look at my fretboard. I just want to feel it. And still to this day, when I listen to the solo on Blue Midnight on my flamenco guitar, which is sitting there in its case right there, that's one of my most connected solos because, and I even have a hard time playing, you know what I mean? Like I really, because it was in the moment. It was just
Yeah.
real. No lights, just feeling it, and the phrasing and the way I played it. I'm so proud of myself. And that was never a big radio hit or anything like that. But I love it. I look at that, I go, hey, now there's a Rob Tardik solo that I can be proud of, that played in darkness. I connected to it organically. But for me, it was very natural to do that because, like I said, for us in our age demographic, even younger, that's the way you learned. You connected, like I said, be an active listener, be
Yeah.
organically connected to the music, sing the notes, get your vocal cords, your eardrums. When you're all connected, your brain is coding at a much higher level. So the topography that your brain is learning things, because your brain doesn't know an F sharp from a C. It's not that. It's all vibrations and electrical impulse. It's mapping out like a topography map that you can feel, like a map that has like mountains and crevices. You know what I mean? That's where kind of the map is, all the frequencies in your brain, how it's mapping it out. And if you're just, yeah, like I said, if you're learning with your eyes, which is so common today, so many students, like I said, if you're 20, 25 and under playing an instrument, especially on guitar and bass, they're just completely visual players. And like you said, transpose the key or take the song, like you said, and change this thing about it, or let's try this direction. And they're like, well, I've just memorized this way. I don't, what do you mean? Where
I
can
don't know what you're doing.
I don't know how to take it somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like, so that's where I excel at, say at the college, because the students will bring cover songs. I say, okay, this song's cool, but let's try it here. Or you know what? We have to change the keys because you guys can't sing it at this. I can tell that you're struggling. But why don't we take it in a country direction? Or why don't we do this direction? And then that's where they get
just
into
the
it, right?
beat pattern changing, and all of a sudden they can't play it because they think it's got to be at a certain rhythm. Well, I've just changed the rhythm on you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how are you going to key it now? How are you going to play it now at a different rhythm? It's the same song. We've just
Yes.
changed the pace of it. And
Yeah.
and you've lost it because for you, it's only something you see. You don't hear it and feel it. If you don't
Yeah.
hear and feel it, how do you tell your hands where to move?
Yeah, exactly. And again, and I always tell them it's not your fault. It's the medium. Like I get it. Your parents gave you iPads since you've been young children, right? And they gave you maybe your first phone, and that's, you watch Instagram and TikTok videos and people dancing and eating burgers and doing crazy stuff that's on the internet. And I get it. I get it. It's not your fault. I always tell people, I'm not shaming you. I'm just an old dude. I'm trying to connect how music from my generation, even a little bit younger than me, this is the way we had to learn to become a guitarist or a bassist or a vocalist or a saxophone or a bagpipe player, whatever instrument. It was that organic connection. I feel that is what's being lost the most right now with young musicians, especially up used to learning an instrument, and who don't have that mentorship at home. Because yeah, why? Again, it's not your parents. Your parents are 99.99% of musician families and parents are not musicians, active musicians performing. So yeah, how would you learn unless you have an uncle or an aunt or a cousin or a buddy down the road? How would you even get into music, right? So, and that was the reality. Me growing up, one of my biggest influences in music was named Kevin Wall, and he lived on my parents' street in Etobicoke on Hollister. And I just was a kid riding my bike. I had already started playing guitar, but I was just learning, just a little green, guitar player guy, just enjoying learning. But by ear, I had my cassette deck and my album and learning songs by ear organically and connecting. And so I'm doing my little thing. And then all of a sudden, one day I'm riding my bike or walking, I don't remember, on Hollister, and I hear the guitar blaring like through a basement window. And I knew right away because I was playing, that's not a recording. That's somebody actually playing guitar. That's somebody playing like hard rock. Like I think it was even like a Motley Crue or Judas Priest. He was a total rocker guy, Ozzy Osbourne. And so this had been going on for maybe not long, maybe a week or two or three. And I'd already been playing guitar. So then obviously what happened was new people moved in. A woman and her son had moved into an elderly gentleman. Mr. Phillips was his name. He was an elderly gentleman. His wife and everybody had passed. So he was by himself, but now he was still at home, but he needed care. She was like a caregiver. So she moved in, single mom, with her young son, Kevin, I was maybe like 13 or 14, because that's when I kind of got into really serious guitar. The accordion was 7, 8. I was all young and getting into guitar. But my teenage years was I really caught the bug, and I was like infatuated with it, practicing and learning and really working. But here's this guy comes out who's like 17, 18, at least 3, 4 years older than me. And I just get the nerve one day to knock on their door. And because I hear all this guitar blaring, and I knock on the door, and she answers the phone. She's very soft spoken, and hello. And I go, oh hi, my name is Rob. I live down the street, and I hear this music coming out. Is that who is that? She goes, oh, that's and I'm literally my voice is pretty good. Like she goes, oh, that's my son Kevin. He's playing guitar downstairs. Would you like to come in and meet him? We just moved in here, and he doesn't know too many. I said, and I'm like, normally your radar is going on your parents. My mom would never say to go to a stranger's home. You know me, like Hungarian, European. My mom would be like, how dare you go to somebody's stranger's home? Haven't we not taught you never going to a stranger's home? Me, like, forget about like, guitar. I'm hearing it. Okay, sure. So I'm like, and then she goes, he's downstairs in the basement. You can go down. It's kind of dark. And I could smell right away. The first thing I smelled when I went to the house in the basement, pot. I smelled weed. And I hear I'm a little 13-year-old kid. And so I opened those, those plastic sliding
accordion
plastic sliders.
Yeah.
So that's what it was. I have this so visual, like I'm right there right now. And I open it, and there's like a wave of smoke and marijuana, like literally, man, just. And then, and this is not a word of a lie. This is exactly how it was. So once the fog or the smoke clears a little bit, there's this young, 16, 17 guy with red hair, freckles, red, like total red, whatever we call it, orange. I don't know what they call it. I forget the name of it. But anyway, super long hair, thrashing, playing. Could have been an Ozzy Osbourne, Crazy Train, maybe. I'm trying to think of the song. It was either that or Motley Crue, Judas Priest, one of the three. Just rocking out. Doesn't even see him there. I'm watching, and then finally stops. And it's like right out of like a Jeff Spicoli movie from like Fast Times at Ridgemont. I was like, hey, dude. Oh, hey, man, what's up? Like he's completely fried. And I'm like a little green, like a young little clean guy, never even look like, oh, hi, sorry, my name's Rob. I live down the street, and you're amazing. Like my mouth to drop. Like I've never even heard anybody. I never knew guitar could be played like that. Like I've seen TV a little bit on television. From watching my dad. He used to watch PBS specials, and that's how I first learned of Al Di Meola, the guitar player, through a PBS special. I have a whole story of that, and so I was like amazed. But I've never saw in front of me somebody playing rock guitar, and still to this day, I know what I heard. He was fantastic. He was a fantastic guitar player. Like he had it down, his phrasing, his tone, his timing. Even as like I said, someone now who does it professionally. I remember back in Kevin. Kevin by far was the best young. At that point, I had a lot of friends. I started getting into guitar, that kind of rock and roll when I left classical, and getting a teenager, and everybody was just playing rock and Zeppelin and whatever was common that day. He was by far, still to this day, he was an incredible guitar player. So anyway, we got to be good friends and hang out. And he taught me a lot. And one of my guitars I'm looking at right here, he sold me my first real electric guitar, which was an Area Pro 2 from Japan, which is actually a really good guitar. It's actually worth quite a bit of money, that guitar, because it's appreciated, because it's a real Japanese-made area. It's just I dented and dinged it a little bit, but it's a beautiful guitar. And That was my first, other than the Sears Silvertone my friend Dan gave me. That was my first electric. And then I have the guitar there. I know I'm not going to start grabbing guitars here, but my first guitar is right there. You just can't see the body. My dad bought me when I was 7. That's after the accordion debauch that didn't work out. There's my little guitar there, and I keep that. I'll probably maybe take that, burn, if I get cremated or buried, that's the guitar I'm going to take with me. And one electric. I want 2 guitars with me, and we'll go together. And but anyway, phenomenal memories of first learning, but organic. My whole point. Sorry, I'm taking you guys off on a tangent, but an organic guitar player, just in the moment. No videos, no. He didn't read music, wasn't connected to the theory, but just the ears and the connection and the feel organically to music still to this day. Kevin Wall, nobody knows him. I don't even know where he is to this day. But if anybody knows, he was one of the best electric rock guitar. That he just played rock, but one of the best players like I've ever seen. He just had it. It was in his. He was just a musical being. He just, even though he was playing the songs, but even some of his originals. I remember playing some originals, and I was like, "Why are you not a superstar? Like you are as good as any guitar player who was on the scene at that time." But again, maybe life wasn't in the cards for him, and then. And the only last time I saw him was many, many years ago. I was going to get, I think, my teeth cleaned or a haircut in Etobicoke, and I almost ran him over with my car. The craziest story. I was just driving it was like at 6 Points Plaza in Etobicoke, whereas I grew up in Etobicoke in Toronto, where I was born. So I was driving in where I was still in Etobicoke, I think, at that time before I left home and lived on my own stuff. But yeah, actually, I was living in Mississauga. I was still going to Etobicoke for my haircuts and dental stuff. So, anyway, I was just literally outside parking I was coming in. I was turning off the street off Bloor Street, going into the parking lot of 6 Points Plaza, and he didn't see me. He wasn't paying attention. He just had his head down, walked right in front of my car, and I'm like, almost just hit him like this close, and I'm like, leaning the horn, and he looks up at me, and then I'm like, holy shit, it's Kevin Wall. He still looked the same, and I rolled the window. I go, Kevin. I go. I don't know if you recognize my hair had grown by then. I was into music really, and then my hair had grown, and he said, "Rah!" So we just connected for a little bit, but then that's it. I never saw him since then. So thank you, Kevin. You are a dear. I've never said that before out loud, but you influenced me huge in my life in guitar, and I will, man, get choked up. Never forget that. Amazing, amazing. Yeah.
Well, I have to Google him and find out if he actually became something, moved on, did something.
No clue. No
He's
clue.
a CEO of some tech company now.
Yeah. Maybe
going to his office. Hey, dude.
Maybe so. Hey, dude, what's that? Like total Jeff Spicoli, hey, what's that? Hey, bud, let's party, complete. Yeah, that's the vibe. And bless him for that. And yeah, so huge influence, one of those underground, those influence that nobody on the planet would know. But now when I think back, yeah, in terms of rock guitar, he's probably my number one influence in my life in terms of a real human who, yeah, like wow, just wow. He was so good. Yeah.
Well, that's what you described of him, playing the guitar with his eyes shut and he's like up and then he opens up and he sees you. As I mentioned in the last time when we were talking,
he was
when
in
you
the
play
zone.
certain things, when you play, your eyes close. You're not watching what you're doing. You're, like you said, then one of the things you did in the dark, because it's like, I don't need to see it. I need to feel it. I need to hear it. I need to feel it. And that's it. And you play, and I know I've interviewed a number of guitarists, the same deal.
Same thing.
They close their eyes when they're in the moment. When they play, they're
Yes.
they're in the music. And,
you have to have that connection.
Yeah, if you teach kids, the first thing is close your eyes. Play something for me. Close your eyes. Don't open your eyes and watch what you're doing. Close your eyes and play.
No. Yeah, feel the notes and the strings. Yeah, occasionally, obviously, when they're younger, I'm telling them not to look at your fretboard. But it's just, for me, I tell them, I know you're in the culture. This is your generation, your Gen Z or whatever. I forget all these whatever. I get it. It's part of your life, and it's nothing to shame you. Use the screens, use the technology, because that's part of your life. I totally get that. But when you're learning guitar, you're holding an instrument that's hundreds and hundreds of years old that has no digital components. They're playing an acoustic or a classic or just a basic electric guitar. A Fender Strat was in the early 50s, There's no high-tech technology in what you're holding in your hands, but yet you're using supreme AI and high-tech things to learn an instrument. You're missing, there's a disconnect there, or you're not getting the full spectrum of the emotion and the connection. So yes, continue to use your screens, do that stuff, but during the Rob time, I call them, that's when I want you to learn to tune by ear. Tuning your guitar by ear. That's even just tuning, you'd be surprised because now they have they have little digital tuners. Then you put them on your headstock and they're watching again. What are they doing though? They're watching with their eyes on a screen. When it lights up green, it's in tune. Oh, okay, it's a visual. I could let my mom or dad could tune my guitars for me then. If they're watching a screen and they're not, but you're not listening. So you're not hearing down, 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 da da down, da da down, A, D, D. I got my first real six string down. You know what I mean? So when I hear notes, like I hear down, I know it's an A, and then I hear down, boom, boom. That's an E. You know what I mean? Ba, F. You know what I mean? Dun, dun. That's a B flat. You know, I'm hearing pitches in my head. You know.
Yeah.
So it depends how alert I am. Yeah, and first thing in the morning when you're groggy or late at night, maybe my pitch is a semitone or a little sharper flat. But that's like anybody. You know, no vocalist wants to sing at 6 o'clock, breakfast television. Hey, let's hit it. Let's hit sing us your best song right now. It's like I need my body to acclimatize to.
That's my coffee.
Yeah, I need some coffee. I need a little bit of something to get me going. So the same thing. But anyway, when like today, we're in our zone. We hydrated and we're in our zone. That's where now we're mentally alert. So now we can sing a pitch, we can play properly, and but it's just and I can't do it. I'm not some kind of old jaded old teacher. You can't don't be listening to that YouTube stuff and don't do that. No, it's like, of course, use technology. It's a blessing, of course, but don't base your whole playing of your instrument, whether you're a guitarist, the bassist, or a violinist, whatever. But it's more the guitar is the main culprit, and to be honest with you, more so than the bass. Because if you think about a bass, and that's why I play bass, and like again, I got a bass right here. And at the college, I always play bass in my ensemble, and I love it. I've been playing bass since 2014 by necessity because I have to play bass in all my performances because we just don't have enough bass players. It's not a highly glamorous instrument. Everybody wants to be a vocal superstar, The Voice and America's Got Talent, Canada's Got Talent, and the Masked Singer. Every show is about becoming a singer and a vocalist and copying songs. It'd be nice to have original music though. Like, I wish that's the one thing that like they never ask for, what are you going to sing for us? What are you going to sing for us? Very rarely, if ever, have I seen they sing an original song, and they don't even encourage it. They want familiarity. Like, well, like I'm your female singer and you're going like, okay, what, Whitney Houston, Blow Us Away by Whitney Houston. Well, Whitney Houston, you're not going to do as good as Whitney, like you're just a parroting Whitney Houston. What is your voice? Like, what can you sing original? So I wish more of these shows would support original song structure. Yes, of course you copy and mimic. We all learn by muscle memory and copying and parroting when we're younger, but we need to grow. But if you never get past that, and all these shows are just feeding, they're just singing cover songs and they're killing it. Yeah, it's amazing. But then where have all how many of these, Canadian or American Idol people are not even in music anymore, right? You just hear them, they even win, and then they just go by the wayside because if you don't have that ability to write original music to connect to people, that's a very different skill of connection than covering a song and just singing it. Yeah. Yes, you can get some YouTube and some likes and some clickbait on social media. Yes, by doing a cover of a very popular song. Like if you sing Birds of a Feather right now by Billie Eilish or some supremely, you're going to get a lot of likes. And if I probably sang it right now on my channel, I'd probably get a lot of people going, man, look at this old guy singing Billie Eilish. Some people might like it. If I kill it, maybe I could do an acoustic guitar version. And maybe I'm stupid not doing that. Maybe I've got a lot more views and likes to my own music. So, and I know people do that, but it's not how I'm wired. And it's not just a personal thing, but you got to make that transition eventually if you want to become an artist, and you don't have to, where you have to write your own songs and find that creative voice, that organic connection to music. And I'm just saying, my point was, I wish some of these shows would nurture that more. Like, you've done a cover. And now your job next week's show is all artists are going to be singing an original song of theirs that they wrote within a week. That'd be a cool, that'd be a cool challenge. Write a song in a week. You're going to perform on American Idol or America's Got Talent. That show's kind of all over the place. But say American Idol, next week all of our, Ryan Seacrest. Next week, all our artists are going to be singing no cover tunes. They're all have to write one original song. Stay tuned for American Idol. And I would love that. I would tune into that. I want to hear what they have to say,
Yeah.
as opposed to I want to hear Bohemian Rhapsody or I want to hear another song that they just covered, which is fine, but there's a million of that, and that's not really going to separate you or elevate your career in any way other than some YouTube, some quick bubblegum kind of feedback, But
Yeah.
how are you doing? How are you going to sustain a 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50-year career in music? Like the Stones are still active. Paul McCartney's still out there. You know why? Because they played real music that connected with human beings on a very deep level. You can only connect with a human being on a cover song as great as you kill it so far, right? Because you're never going to be, it's not the original. And even if sometimes there's a few covers, yes, I'll admit there's a few covers historically that have been better, than the original. But again, it's all subjective,
Yep.
But if you're, and sorry, I'm going off on a tangent here, but
No,
I'm really
back to
passionate about, I'm teaching. I love teaching and nurturing the next level because when I'm gone, I want other guitar players to write original music but not just, and guitar players like today with the social media, they just love gymnastics. They sit in a chair, you know what I mean, much like this, and they never play live. They never leave their bedroom. And they're amazing gymnastic players. All you hear this is wanking. But it's like they don't have but then you look at that, I've done it several times, like, okay, this person's got some, but no, nothing. They don't have a website. They don't have anything. There's nothing going on. They're not creative. There's no creative outlet. And if that's good enough for you, though, God bless. That's 100%. There's no problem. Not everybody's cut out to be an artist and record music. I get that. But, I just like the nurturing. I like the culture and the corporate side of music to more encourage a lot of that stuff as opposed to the quick, just media advertising. It's just dollars, unfortunately, and for a lot of things. They just want the conglomerates like TELUS and Chorus and Rogers and Bell Media. Do they care about original music and artists and nurturing? Honestly, I don't think so at all. There's no
buck.
What's that? Yeah,
It's
they don't
buck.
care about anything.
The click and the buck. That's what they're looking for.
They clicks and bucks. So, we want the Grammys on, or even it's all North America wide. We're not just Canadian, but what advertising dollars are going to reel in? We need the superstars. We need Drake. We need Drake, Dwayne Johnson doing a commercial for us during the Super Bowl. That will bring us the maximum dollars for that 30 seconds. We'll get millions. You know what I mean? Honestly, and I get it. I can't change that. Who's me, Rob Tardik? Who gives a crap about Rob Tardik and his music? You know what I mean? Like, honestly, at that level. But for nurturing for future, my goal is like to give back. And what motivates me is like when I have each student, there's a canvas there that I can help and say, listen, do you have any inclination of writing your own music or creating art? I'm going to try to help you. This is how chords work together and how scales and melodies and how but connecting with your heart, that heartbeat of music. Because, when everybody, I'm teaching right now. I've been doing this wonderful thing since June at the Brain Injury Association of Durham. And because after my wife's attack, we did some, I guess, charity. I don't know. We went out and try to help others she was suffering, people with the brain injury or my wife has been very active now with women's shelters, helping women through what's called bibliotherapy. And bibliotherapy is just a funny word. People don't know what it means. It's just reading. It's reading. It's reading music for therapy, just like music, hearing music for therapy. People read to each other, and it's more the conversation that it invokes in people. They open up. She'll read a chapter from a book or a paragraph from a poet. And next thing you know, what does it mean to you? And people they want to express themselves because they've been shunned and beaten down. So a lot of these people, they want to express themselves, they struggle. So when I knew I've been doing this every week since June, and I'm not trying to brag, it just came out naturally. They just saw our show that we put on and they loved what we did. And they said, we'd love to have you come every week and talk to our people, brain injury, because they love music, but we need somebody too. So I've been doing it and it's been wonderful. So and it's been amazing to connect. And we're just listening to music and we're singing, or some people now brought their guitars. And yeah, it's every Tuesday. I do it from 10 a.m. to noon in person for 2 hours. Then I go home. We do an online session in the afternoon, and then I go to teach at the other school. And I love that every Tuesday. And it's been going so now we've even put me in a bigger room because the other room was getting so packed. Now they put me in the big main room, and people are coming, going, and people with all various degrees of brain injury. And it's really sad for a lot of the people. You know what I mean? It's like there's such great humans and they just want to express themselves, but they can't, and a lot of it's through either car accidents or one of the number one. It's crazy how many people are in car accidents and they life change. Like in a heart, like in a snap, like Kim, out for a walk, you get attacked, changes your life. You're in your car, you go for a drive to the grocery store, and boom, in a next beat, you have a lifetime of brain injury, or a lot of them have physical injuries as well from the accidents. But it just opened my again, woke up. These are all perspective things. I was writing these songs and thinking, like, these are all amazing people who just love, and they want to be loved, and they want to have a beautiful life, and they've been hit with a really shitty deal, in life, unfortunately. And but that doesn't mean they have to live a shitty life. So they're really, and a lot of them are thriving, and they love music. And man, we talk about all sorts of stuff, and I read to them. And Daniel J. Levitin, if you heard that art, he's a writer. Have his books. He just wrote, his last book was, I Heard There Was a Secret Chord, was kind of off the Leonard Cohen.
Hallelujah chord.
Yeah, hallelujah.
Yeah.
He wrote a book about how the connection of music and the brain as health and medicine. It's a great book. I'm just starting reading that one. And then he has the other book, Six Songs That Rule the World, how he talks about music in general. There's 6 types of songs of joy and comfort and knowledge and religion and love. And you know what I mean? And I'm like, so yeah, he's right. What are songs that bring you joy? What are songs that bring you love songs? What are songs of knowledge, songs of, there's religious, there's political songs, so it's great. He goes through all these different chapters. He talks about the songs that defined and ruled it, but the history too. It's very deep. It's a very deep book. And then Your Brain on Music, you know what I mean? So he's got several books. Daniel, I'd recommend anybody who's interested in music and the brain and how you can heal and just grow, is Daniel J. Levitin. He is in Montreal. I think he's right now, he's Montreal based. He was in the US, but he went to McGill, I think, which is that Montreal? No.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. McGill. He's active prof there. I don't know, all the time. Now he's touring and doing the books and his itinerary of public speaking engagements. But Daniel J. Levitin, and I catch him on Spotify. I can listen to his podcast there.
I'm actually going to write that one down here.
Yeah, Daniel J. Levitin. I have all the books upstairs on where I read. I don't read in my office studio here. I read upstairs on a chair that I have there. So I got all my books set aside, and I'm just going through his books. But yeah, he's got a lot of different books on all different things. But he's really, because he used to be a musician, and he had quite success with a lot of Grammy and great artists. And I don't know if he was born in the States, but now he's Canadian. I forget the whole backstory, but fascinating reading there. So I don't even know how I got on top, but the BIAD, which Brain Injury Associative Durham is called, I've been there, and it's so meaningful to connect. But my purpose is, we connect so organically, because there's no music, there's no theory there or anything like that. We were just, but we're connecting with our ears.
Yeah.
It's pure, it's all ears. We're not watching YouTube tutorials on how to play chords and how to guitar, or learn how to sing and watch something, it's just listening. Like, let's just listen and connect. And I just connect, and we all have percussion. We've brought in percussion tools like egg shakers and, like claves. I've taught them all. Now now the clave I have right beside me, because I've really taught, we had, everybody's got these, or egg shakers, or little castanets, because I said, and even for those who, physically, some of them can't even physically are really hampered. I say, you can shake your butt, you can move your head, whatever you can do, just clap your hand, whatever you can do physically. Some of them are challenged. I say, whatever, how you can, and they love it. They're connecting to the heartbeat of music. And I talked exactly about that, the African, the war tribes, how we evolved as human beings out of necessity to save our families' lives from neighboring. Unfortunately, men sucked back then. We just kept killing and taking each other over. You know what I mean? So if you read those books, Homo Deus and all those, which are great books that I've read by, I forget the name of the author, but they're fantastic books. But if you read the first one, Homo Sapiens, yeah, it's a tragic tale of human being. We haven't learned, we're not learning from our mistakes as humans. But anyway, focus on the joy and the good stuff. But that connecting with rhythm, because how many people have said, oh, I can't dance, or I can't, well, you know what, you're 9 months, you were hearing rhythms. All of us, every 9 billion people on the planet went through a 9-week rhythm workshop with your mom. You heard all sorts of tempos. You heard presto, prestissimo, largo, andante, whatever it's, what I mean? You heard all the rhythms in your heartbeat. And you don't think that's affected you in some way at a subconscious? 100%. You do feel music. Why do you think a 2-year-old kid, I'm playing shows, these kids don't know if I'm Drake or Justin Bieber, or they don't know who the heck I am. They're 2 years old. Next thing you know, they're bopping around to my music. I have documented video proof on a lot of footage. My wife or people have taken, and I see the little kids, and they're like dancing to my tunes. and they're loving it because they're not hindered by, you know, as you get older, they're like, I'm too embarrassed to dance, or I'm too cool to dance, or I can't dance. You know, they're just there. They just feel the music and they're just bopping around and they're totally in time. I remember my son too. I have a video of my son, Matt, on at in Cancun, no, Dominican. He's like 2, 3 years old. He's hearing the music and he's dancing, he's twirling, he's doing spins and so well. Like honestly, I was like, it was like you could have been a dancer. It was almost like it was like you know, you'd watch and go, oh, did he practice like how's he so good at dancing? I go, he
He
just
was
felt
watching a YouTube video. That's how.
yeah. Yeah, he was copying a YouTube video of how to dance, you know. No, he just felt it organically, and that's how music and dance, you know, we not that we can't use video. Again, I don't want to be that person. I want us to use technology and TikTok and watch all that and learn from it, but got to connect organically to music. There has to be a balance. Life is a balance. So we can't just focus on with our eyes. Hear the music, like you said, shut the music off, dance, sing, clap, whatever you do artistically, you know, draw a painting. You know, you could sculpt something in the dark, right? Because you can feel the contours of the bowl or whatever, or the pic, you know what I mean? Like you're connecting with things, right? So I imagine I'd be curious to know if they've ever done that art in the dark. Have they ever done painting in dark, like what comes out? You know what I mean? When you're just feeling the canvas and the brush and your stroke and what your tech, you know what I'm saying? You know, what would you come up with? You know, so it's these are all fascinating things where you're really connecting on a very deep level with art. So it's just
There
a
actually
balance.
are, there's blind people that paint.
Yeah. Well, there you
Yeah,
go. See,
my
sorry.
mother had macular degeneration and she painted. She took up painting. She was kind of
Yeah,
afraid to do it, and then somebody convinced her, and she did several
this is amazing.
more than several paintings, and can't see, but
Yeah.
she was painting.
See, I'm clueless. See, I again, I makes so much sense. And yeah, like it just she's connected. You know what I mean? Her life experience was her canvas. You
Yep.
know, and that's what it is. And you know, and I always people are creative. People can be creative, but they you know either they push it down or like I said, they can't dance. Like, of course, you can dance. You feel rhythm.
Yeah.
Your mom blessed you with 9 months of rhythm. You know, you
Yeah.
just haven't learned to connect with. It's connecting with the internal rhythm in you. That's what people don't do. They're just not connect. Maybe they don't have a source or a mentor or someone in the family or in their peripheral life bubble to connect them. But you can dance. You like you told me, you can sing. We can all sing. We just have to connect to that inner rhythm and the voice. And it takes a lot of hard work, yes, and courage and risk and putting yourself out there and wearing your heart on your sleeve, as they say. And I guess a lot of people miss that, but I'm sure a lot of people inside would love to be, you know, more creative and artistic. It's taking that risk and the chance and putting yourself up there. I get it. We're humans. We're
Yeah.
flawed. We don't want us to. Well, even the merger. Think about you know the merger. What happened was yeah, of you know the pandemic. Everybody went online on cameras, right?
Yeah.
And everybody's subconscious. Still to this day, you know, like sometimes I remember during the pandemic, students would have their cameras off, or a lot of people, as adults, would have their camera. My wife went through this, and it was funny. My wife was kind of like an outlier, him, because she's so smart. I don't know what you know intellectually what she saw. I mean, you know, I was joking like I don't know what you saw in this guy, but you know, she wrote her master's thesis on the use of synchronous and asynchronous video in technology, how we're going towards a world where we're going to be job interviews, we're going to be doing conducting, right? This was all before the pandemic. And then the pandemic hit, and then what happens? Everybody went on video. So she was
Yeah.
already like way ahead. She had a course about how to conduct business and your vocals and the cameras. Like she has a full course that unfortunately nobody still this day, it's still available. I told her she should re-upload it, but she did a whole course on how to present on video. It was called Video Intro, Videos Are Us, or Video Presentation. I forget the name. Sorry, I'm blanking, but it was so fascinating to see. My point is, you know, people got so self-conscious, right, of themselves on video. Oh, my hair doesn't look good, or no, I keep my screen off. I don't look good, or I camera. You know what I mean? It's like it's that whole inner, like you said, that inner voice telling you, like, I'm ugly. I don't want to be on camera. I don't look good, or my hair not. You know, I felt like you got to stop that, right? I agree. You know what I mean? And we're all humans. So I get it. You know,
Yep.
like the backdrop. You know, today, sure, I wanted to get a good backdrop. I didn't want the sun to be shining, but they were for different reasons. It wasn't more for the glamour of it. You know what I mean? This is
No,
my
it's so that we can see you, and I did this so that you can see me. Because if I didn't,
yeah,
like I said, I'd look like the supernatural being with the light behind me, and you'd be going, "Do I
yeah.
refer to you as Your Holiness? What do I do?"
Yeah, so
Little
those are
topical, but
those
you
are
know,
physical things you got to learn and about technology, which is good. It's a learning. It forces people out of a comfort zone, right?
Yeah.
But I still, to this day, I have a lot of people, "Oh, I hate being on camera. I don't like the technology. I don't like," well, it's part of life now. You know what I mean? Like, you actually, it's not a good, I won't say it to some people, but it's like, that's not a good avenue to take. You know, you have to embrace it. This is part of life now. Reality is, maybe you might have to do a job interview or a meeting online or on Zoom, or, you know, and you can't be, if you're worried about what you look like or your hair or your voice or your, yeah, I mean, like, now, like you said, that inner voice is taking over, right? And you just can't worry about that stuff. And it's very common, you know, those most the general population are not YouTubers and we're on cameras all the 99.99% of the population don't like to be on camera. You know what I mean? A lot of them are very uncomfortable, or they don't know the technology like to set up this type of, you know, situation with cameras and sets. So, and I get it, you know, it's not everybody's meant to do that, but it's just funny, little things you can do to push yourself out there can really help. Because it's funny, sometimes I watch videos like all the time, like and people's like the screens are up or you see the ceiling, or they like there's, you know what I mean, and they're like, it could be the, not a prime minister, but, you know, I've seen people of significant,
you mean?
yeah,
This kind of video like this, right?
yeah, I've seen people who are quite significant in their industry, but like the camera view is blurred or whatever, or they're like, it's like, yeah, I don't know if you're portraying yourself. Like, you got to put a little bit of effort into this. You got to like, and you can't say, "Well, I don't know technology or whatever."
Yeah.
It's very funny when you watch, not that I'm a fan or whatever, Kevin O'Leary, that, you know, that billionaire guy. He's a real, he was on Dragon's Den.
Yes.
He does regular videos. And what he does, I like, he has his main camera shot like this. But you know what he does? He does another camera angle to show all the tech, the wires and the cameras. And he never wears pants. He's always in like boxers or jogging pants. So he's only from up top. He's like professional, Mr. Wonderful, suit, tie. He's got his red watches always. And whether you like him or not, that's not my point here. You know what I mean? But I love the second angle because he shows you the realness of it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like he's got crap all over the place and wires and cables, which you need. You need, like right now, I got wires connected to my computer, to the camera here. You know what I mean? And I got another chair here that's out of the shot where my coffee and this, you know, you got all sorts of crap everywhere. We all do, right? And but it's, you know, it's showing the realness. But I love that. My point was there, he was willing to show people the realness. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you know what? I'm in boxer shorts right now, or I mean, he's half the time in shorts or his underwear, and he's a well-known guy, but he's being real. You know, because when you look at this view, he's professional. Oh, look at this studio. It looks amazing. He's so, you know what I mean? But meanwhile, it's like, no, it doesn't have to be perfection. You know, just work on little things and you can, you know.
That speaks to your music and the training, is that you can look or sound really good, but if you're not real, if you're not authentic, it's not real, it's not authentic, it's not you. And like you say, having a long spanning career comes from authenticity. People hear it, people know it. Because if they listen to music and it's not authentic, oh, they just wrote another thing. And they listen, they go, but who is that? Like I said, with your music, you hear you. Everything through the ages of your development, the 11 albums that I've listened to of yours, plus a little of the rock and roll as well, that's you. It's, you hear you in it. There's an authenticity to it, and that's why it has longevity. Nobody can do you better than you. Because only you, unless they start cloning, and then, well, sorry, Rob, you know, they got a younger clone of you that plays a little bit better, but sorry, it's another Rob. But until that comes along, it's authenticity. It is that personal connection from soul, from mind to your hands on the instrument that makes the music.
Yeah, no, I agree. And we and it's funny because remember, if we roll back, you started the whole conversation today about that, right? I think, and I thank you for that. It's like being authentic and just being real, just being who you are, whether you're flawed or whatever. You just embrace who you are as we get older or whatever, you know, and just I just be realistic, you know what I mean? Like at my age, and then, but my wife's always saying, where's your gray hairs? You know, she's like, I'm waiting for you. I want to go get gray together. And I'm like, it's coming. I'm hoping that they're going to kick
They're in the drawer over here, hon. I take them out one at a time. Every time I see them, I put them in the drawer.
Yeah, exactly.
You want them, they're there.
There's the grays. But yeah, but thank you for saying that, because I take, I value that, to be authentic and just keep going, keep being my real. This is my perspective, and not trying to be fake about it. Because like when you first said, you can sense yourself when somebody it's contrived, right? They're just trying to jump on a trend, like you said, and that's very, very common in music, right? They're literally, when you're on a big label. Remember, Guitarist is my own label. Yes, I get distributors shipped through the Orchard, and I'm very blessed, happy about that. but I control all the shots, whether that's good or bad. And plus, I got to pay for everything, so that's very expensive. I don't have a label paying for everything. But when you got a big label paying for everything, they're going to call the shots. So, they're going to tell you what's single. They're going to tell you how to dress. They're going to tell you everything, and you're paying them back. You pay them back first before you make a penny. Sony wants all their Universal. They all want their money back, before. And of course, if you're not the main big artist, you don't get you're not getting Drake or Justin or whoever the big artist is. If you're just a small mid-level artist, you're not getting the royal treatment like, the band U2 is or something like that. When they say something, the label says, okay, Metallica's on the billionaire club of music, right? The tours that generate billions, which is, just a small, less than 1.0000, who knows of the percent of musicians up there, but they're authentic. And if yourself, like I think that's what I really connect with what you're saying, and it gives me room to grow and to move forward, like gives me purpose, is to just stay the course, because sometimes I doubt myself. I'll be honest, it's like, am I being seen, or people not even listening to my music, or like I'm not getting the love that I think. I'm trying to really put good music with good messaging, and it's hard to get people to listen. I'll be honest, hard to get people to give a crap when you're dealing with these mega big companies pumping out Chorus Bell, Rogers, and you know what I mean? They're pumping millions and billions to the big stars and feeding that whole pot, the narrative, whatever music is. And it's like, there's so much good music out there and so many great artists who are, have so much real talent and connection to music, and not just an entertainment type figure, you know what I mean? And not really even a music. Some of them are not musicians, they're entertainers, but in terms of music, again, my long tangent I won't keep, we're going on forever here, but I'd wrap up saying myself, I appreciate that you feel the authenticity. I'm trying to be real, and I don't just want to write songs to please other people or whatever. Like you said, we use the word trend. If they need we need and I've heard it. You're absolutely right. I hear it in commercials, or I'll hear it in other bands. Like I've heard it with one band. I remember I was listening to some Maroon 5 songs that was on radio. They had a hit, and the commercials that came out, they're all sounding like Maroon 5, or the artists were like jumping on that sound, with that falsetto, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you could hear like, this sounds like a Maroon 5 song, this band used to sing completely different music. It was like well-known bands in that kind of pop rock genre. And I remember listening, this was quite a few, maybe five years ago or so, but I remember listening like, wow, they changed their sound. They sound like a Maroon 5 cover band now. They've totally lost their direction. And that's because the record label probably said, now this is where you guys we want songs like this. We want a Maroon 5. And literally they'll say that, right? Some executive at the labels, this will say, listen, you guys need some hits. This is what's popular right now. You need whatever, Adam Levine. We want that type of vocal. We want this type of chord progression. Write it for the next song. Honestly, that happens all the time when you're, on a label. They control the shots, right? So
yeah.
Like it's the pros and cons. If you want the big marketing machine behind you, yes, they're going to put you on tour, and they're going to pay for the tour bus driver and the craft services. But there's some, until you get to the supreme where you can, like a Taylor Swift, at the top, then you can, what she did was she actually re-recorded all her music, because the label, which was amazing, but that takes incredible amount of resources, to re-record your whole catalog in the studio and the music. We're talking millions of dollars here, so that's not the norm. That's 0.000000001% of the music population could say, hey, screw you labels. I'm going to re-record my whole catalog, and I'm going to own all my music because I got shafted by you, and here, this is what, but okay. And that's where things are at. And
here's Rob Tardik with Keep Going. Enjoy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we will definitely stay in touch, Rob.
Thank you, sir.
And if you get anything in Ottawa, let me know immediately because I'm definitely coming to see you.
I will. Thanks, Stefan, to you and everybody there. And Tina, I really appreciate all the help. It's been great. Did I miss Corey? Did I miss who else? Did I?
Corey, Tina,
Corey, Tina,
and me, Mr.
Stefan.
Dressa.
There you go. So I got everybody. Thank you all.
Yeah, you did.
To all of you, and I really appreciate it. And have a wonderful day and the rest of the spring and summer. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you sooner than later this fall. Hopefully.
Oh, absolutely. Let me know as soon as you know. Let me know.
I will.
All right.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate all
Bye.
your listeners as well. All the best to you
Okay.
guys. Well wishes.
Bye.
Bye.